southern Saskatchewan, 28 degrees. It's a little windy, but all in all, it's a perfect night for football. And perfect is what the Calgary Stampeders are. They enter this game 4-0, the best team in the CFL. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the CFL Game of the Week from Taylor Field. I'm Gord Miller. The Saskatchewan Roughriders enter this game at 1-3, but feeling they deserve a much better fate. In their opener against Calgary, the Riders thought they played pretty well against the Stamps. They lost a lopsided score that might have flattered Calgary. But fans in this area know as well as anybody that moral victories don't count in the standings. They need some W's to put in the win column soon, and they're facing a very tough team to get one against tonight. For more on the game tonight, let's hear from the men who will call it, John Wells and Leif Pedersen.
Saskatchewan Roughriders looked at defense as their biggest problem this year, but Leif, quickly, the offense has really not come up with a big play either.
No, they haven't, John. They've been sluggish all season long. I think their biggest problem is the fact that they've had a different lineup every week. They have their best lineup of the year starting tonight, though.
There will be a radical change for Saskatchewan on defense with a couple of changes, but one of note as a halfback becomes a linebacker tonight, Kim McLeod.
In the first meeting between these two teams, the linebacking core of Saskatchewan was killed by Keevan Jenkins coming out of the backfield on pass play. So tonight, they've made a radical move. James King is out. A halfback is in. 6 defensive backs are going to play, and I think that's a trend that you might see throughout the league.
Now, the Roughriders will get a solid test tonight from one of the best receiving corps in the Canadian Football League, including 2 slot backs who are off to a great start for the Calgary Stampeders, Pitts and Sapunjas.
Well, we're going to talk about these two fellas, but the whole receiving corps, in my opinion, is no doubt the best in the league. Alan Pitts off to a great start, and David Sapunjas is a young fellow from Western Ontario that has really come into his own. He was the MVP Canadian in the Grey Cup last year. This year now he's got 13 catches, off to a great start, making big plays for the Calgary Stampeders. Those are only 2 of a host of great receivers that they have. Should be interesting.
We'll continue live from Taylor Field in Regina. Our CFL Game of the Week features the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Calgary Stampeders.
To Calgary to start the game.
The unbeaten Calgary Stampeders look for their 5th straight win of 1992 and the second over Saskatchewan, the second of 2 regular season meetings for the Roughriders and the Stampeders in the second in a month here at Taylor Field. Dave Ridgway has it underway. Keevan Jenkins for the Stampeders out across the 30. He's to the 40-yard line and out near the 45 before Jenkins is brought down by David Pitcher, a 24-yard return.
Jenkins down by David.
Those are pretty impressive numbers for Doug Flutie. I'm sure you'd like to see his touchdowns more than interceptions, but if that continues, the amount of yardage, he will set a new CFL record again. He is off to a good start.
And in 5 rushing touchdowns for Doug Flutie, it's a pretty good start.
He has been very effective in 4 games in July.
1st and 10, Calgary Stampeders beginning from the 45. Flutie gets a rush, but gets it to Keevan Jenkins, and Jenkins is up near the 50 and met by Rough Rider middle linebacker Dan Rasevich. Coverton is the newcomer for the Calgary Stampeders. At left tackle, Romano, McDonald, Cafasso, and Moore. Also on the offensive line. Outside, it's Carl Bland and Derek Crawford. The inside receivers we talked about, Alan Pitts and Dave Sapunjas, and the runners are McVie and Jenkins. Flutie on 2nd and 5. And Alan Pitts couldn't hang on to the first toss his way.
Alan Pitts, 3rd and 5.
Broken play, and Alan Pitts all of a sudden has to try and find some open territory to help his quarterback out. He does the right thing. He found the open area. Should have made that catch. Really no reason why he couldn't make it. But good news for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They have not played well in the first quarter of football games, and on the opening series, they're able to get Calgary on a 2 and out.
On 3rd down, Tony Martino. Willis Jaycox. And he's out across the Saskatchewan 40 near the 42. Tackle made by Doug Davies, a 20-yard return. And here comes Ken Austin. 9 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He tossed 4 interceptions against the Calgary Stampeders in their first meeting, week 1 in the CFL. Three receivers to the near side. And the handoff goes to Lucius Floyd. Check that. Milson Jones. Up front for Saskatchewan. Hendrickson. New at left tackle. Everyone else has been around for a while.
That's the lineup they started the season with. Really the one they like, having Byron Williams in. He's more of a deep threat than Jay Cox was. And Milson Jones back in after being out with an injury for the last few games.
Gain is 1. This is 2nd and 9. Austin has Fairholm.
This is a new formation Saskatchewan has come up with for the game tonight, where they put Elgard Fairholm and Narcisse all to the short side of the field. They feel they can maybe run some crossing patterns out of that. They didn't cross there, but a good push off on Carl Anthony by Jeff Fairholm, and on their initial series they have their initial first down. Jeff Fairholm back in the lineup after a hamstring injury has been bothering him. There you see his numbers, and boy, he is a guy they need to have functional.
On first down, Austin almost picked off by Darryl Hall. Don Narcisse was the intended receiver. Stampeders look like this defensively, and that's a solid unit up front. Johnson, Warnock, Zizakovic, and Caulfield.
I think what's interesting about their linebackers, they too have a converted defensive back. Darryl Hall now playing linebacker. The secondary, very, very good junior Thurman, Errol Tucker on the corners. But there is Darryl Hall, and I believe it's a trend you're going to see throughout the league. 6 defensive backs and having a big, strong halfback play up at that linebacker spot.
On 2nd and 10, Lucius Floyd makes the catch coming out of the backfield, and the Roughriders have another first down. Junior Thurman made the stop. The gain is 12 yards.
Brought down by Junior Thurman.
You know, as I look at this game tonight and how Saskatchewan has to play against Calgary much differently than the first game of the season, these are the plays that are going to be success for them. Get it to Lucius Floyd. If Lucius Floyd has 10 to 14 catches tonight, Saskatchewan has a very good chance to win that game, because Calgary says throw it underneath our coverage. Now Austin has to be patient, just like he was there.
Roughriders first down, Calgary 39. Lucius Floyd, 2nd carry of the ball game near the 35, and he ran into 81, Will Johnson. A 4-yard gain. Riders 2 running plays early in the match. Something a little different. They haven't rushed the ball a great deal so far in 92.
No, in fact, they're last in the league in that department. You know, you hear it as a criticism here in the city of Regina, but I really don't think it is. They throw the quick passes so effectively. That's their running game.
And they get it to Lucius Floyd, the running back, an awful lot, so he's involved in the play. 2nd down and 6. Byron Williams, the intended receiver, and Austin was off target with Errol Tucker covering.
Well, this is what got Austin into trouble the first time they met. The reluctance to throw short and wanting to go deep. He had pressure coming from Johnson, maybe threw the ball a little before Williams was into his final break, but Will Johnson, there's no question, the most consistent pass rusher that the Calgary Stampeders have. How about his record? 48 CFL games, 43 sacks.
Dave Ridgway is in. Ridgway has hit on 27 of his last 28 field goals. He's missed only once this season. 42 yards, and
you jinxed him. You did it.
He'll be upset. Ridgway is wide, and Pee Wee Smith gets it out near the 20-yard line for the Calgary Stampeders. 29-yard return after the wide field goal, and zeros remain on the board for Don Matthews and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and Wally Buono and his Calgary Stampeders. Saskatchewan Roughriders have made a lot of changes on defense this season. Tonight is no exception, with a new face in there in number 92, Lance Cook.
Well, he's not as big as Robert Banks, who he is replacing, but I can tell you he's a lot quicker. He runs the 40 in about 4 or 5, which is exceptionally fast for a defensive end. And of course, they're relying on some of that speed to track down Doug Flutie tonight. There's the other big switch. Kim McLeod, a defensive back, takes over from James King as a linebacker. So they will have 6 defensive backs against a pretty potent Calgary receiving corps.
And not a great deal of experience in the Saskatchewan secondary, with the exception of Glenn Suter. Albert Brown has been around, but
talking Charles Anthony, Vincent Donaldson, and George Wynn, who are relatively new to that secondary. And I think it reflects in their statistics as a defense. You know, they lead the league in sacking the quarterback. Now, that should usually translate into turnovers. but it hasn't. They only have 2 interceptions after 4 games, and that's just not getting the job done when you want to play that live it on the edge style.
1st and 10, Calgary. From the Stampeder 18. 0-0 opening quarter at Taylor Field, and Keevan Jenkins carries for the Stampeders. He ran right into Bobby Jurison, number 71.
You know, we've made mention of what a good front four Calgary has, but hey, the Saskatchewan one's not too shabby either. Bobby Jurison off to his best start in many a year, and Lance Cook, well, we don't know much about him, but Gerald Bayless and Gary Lewis are excellent tackles with that push up the middle, so this is a good group that Doug Flutie will work against.
Jenkins grabbed 5 at his 2nd and 5. Stampeders. Flutie looks to the near side and finds Alan Pitts. That'll be a 1st down for the Stampeders. Pitts crossing the Calgary 45. They'll spot it down at the 46. An 18-yard gain to match his number.
And Vincent Donaldson will go everywhere Alan Pitts does tonight. This is his assignment. Watch now, Pitts drives up into him. That's what you're supposed to do. Straighten that defensive back up the field, then make your break to the outside. Flutie floats a perfect pass into Alan Pitts.
Stampeders 1st down at the 46. Flutie on target once more as Crawford makes the catch. Got away from 1 tackle. Suter forces him out.
83.
Well read by Doug
Crawford.
Flutie. And Derek Crawford picks up 42 yards.
27. Suter. 1st down, Calgary on the
Okay, here's Derek Crawford. He came from inside on George Wynn. Watch the little dipsy-doodle to the outside and a big gain for the Calgary Stampeders. Boy, he had a great week last week too, and George Wynn had a tough week, so that's an area they're going to try and expose.
Stampeders in scoring position at the Saskatchewan 22. Flutie looks to the end zone. And he's off target. The receiver fell down. Pitts was the intended receiver. Donaldson again covering on him.
Well, Donaldson knocked him down, and Vincent Donaldson obviously is going to try and be a little physical with Alan Pitts tonight, and I think that's a good way to play against Pitts. Watch this. As Pitts tries to break back to the corner, Donaldson said, heck with you, that's my territory. You can't run me over. That's great defense. That is good.
2nd and 10, Stampeders, Saskatchewan 22. No score so far. Flutie gets some pressure. And look for Sean Beals, number 88, just over his outstretched fingers. So the Roughriders give up a couple of big plays, but Dan Rasevich covering on Beals keeps the Stampeders out of the end zone. Mark McLaughlin will come in. 29.5-yard field goal try for Mark McLaughlin. Good on 12 of 18. 66% of his tries so far in 1992. Wide. Ridgway missed from 42. McLaughlin missed from 29.5. Flag down in the end zone. They may not get the single point. Was it Sreko Zizakovic?
I think he was in there at the end, and they will not have to give up a single point. The ball will come out. No yards will be called.
Referee Jake Ireland continues the discussion, discussing the options with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and Ray Elgard will continue from Taylor Field in a moment. The decision has been taken at Taylor Field. It was at the Roughriders' option, so in favor of field position, they decide to give up a single point. And the Stampeders are in front, 1-0.
All right, here's that formation again with Elgard, Fairholm, and Byron Williams into the short side of the field. They feel they can outman Calgary on the short side there.
Austin from the 35 on 1st down. Milson Jones is met after a gain of a couple by Alondra Johnson, the Stampeder middle linebacker. Johnson leading the Stampeders in tackles so far this season with 26 coming into this one tonight.
2nd and 7.
On 2nd and 8. Austin takes a low snap in the shotgun, fires quickly and too high, intended for Jeff Fairholm. Fairholm jumps, He was wide open, but couldn't bring it down.
That's a pass that Ken Austin should complete. Fairholm was wide open, and the ball just sailed in. You know, sometimes the pressure of playing against a tough front four that you know is really coming after you all the time, play after play, sometimes can make a quarterback a little edgy, and Ken Austin certainly isn't in his normal rhythm yet in this game.
Mike Lezecki inside his 25. 7:32 to play in the opening quarter. 1-0 Calgary. Lezecki gets this one high with a favoring wind. Pee-wee Smith bobbled it, but retained possession. And a good kick by Lezecki, covering 52 yards. Will force the Stampeders deep into their own zone to begin their next sequence. David Pitcher downfield quickly.
Well, there's no question Alan Pitts is the big play receiver in that Calgary lineup. Last year, 118 catches, a new CFL record. So what Saskatchewan has decided to do tonight is take number 24, Vincent Donaldson, who they feel is probably their best one-on-one cover guy, and he will follow Alan Pitts all over the field. Wherever Pitts goes, Donaldson will go, and we're going to watch that matchup for you. Should be interesting to see who wins that battle.
1-0 Calgary. Stampeders begin. At the 22, there was some early movement, and Gary Lewis crashes through to Doug Flutie. Keyman Jenkins ended up with the ball, but the play was whistled down.
What a formation that Calgary comes out with. They have the 5 receivers across the field, and what they do is spread that defense out of Saskatchewan so much that, well, we can't hear Jake Ireland's mic, but trust me, Gary Lewis was the one that was offside. But what Calgary does is spread that defense out of Saskatchewan so much that every defensive back is just so vulnerable, you just can't get any help.
Offside Saskatchewan.
Roughriders offside, and that flips it to 1st and 5 for the Stampeders, now at the 27. 3 receivers near side. Flutie gives it to Jenkins, same play. And Jenkins will be narrowing in the first down territory. Tyrone Jones, number 35 for the Roughriders, forced Jenkins up.
Tyrone only 1 sack so far as a linebacker with Saskatchewan this year, and chatting with him yesterday, he was very verbal about the fact that he was going to improve on that statistic tonight. So we'll see how he does.
6 receivers in. Flutie has a completion far side, and a first down for Carl Bland, number 85.
What a difficult team to play defense against. Calgary throws so many looks at you that time. 3 receivers stacked to either side, and they simply throw the quick screen to Carl Bland. And now you've got Keyman Jenkins out in front, Pitts out front. Glenn Suter takes a terrible pursuit angle to try and make the tackle, but there's so many different looks. They're so confusing for a defense.
12-yard pickup, 1st and 10, Stampeders at the 45. Bland, the intended receiver once more, and Flutie was off target with George Wynn, number 22, covering.
Did you see the shot that Suter gave Carl Bland there? I mean, that was a little late and close, but you know what? That was the result of the last play. Suter knew he took a bad angle, made a lousy play, so he said, I'm going to take out my frustrations on Carl Bland.
Flutie good on 4 of 8 for 77 yards so far. He engineered a rather impressive march last time that stalled near the Saskatchewan 22. 2nd and 10, Stampeders at their own 45. Flutie got it away quickly. It's picked off. Suter grabs it near the 55. Alan Pitts was the intended receiver, and Suter dived for a tipped football and has his 2nd interception of the season.
Doug Flutie knew he had to get the ball away quickly. Rasevich coming right up the middle, and the ball is simply thrown behind Alan Pitts. Pitts was open. There's the tip. Glenn Suter with the good hands to come up with his 2nd interception of the year, and a good break for Regina. They need to have some positive things happen to them early when they're playing a tough team like Calgary.
Donaldson working on Pitts, part of the reason the Stampeders had difficulty there. Now 1st and 10, Saskatchewan, and Lucius Floyd is decked behind the line. A loss of 3, and that was created by Will Johnson.
The sports director of local CGME radio station, Glenn Suter. I don't know how he's going to describe that play on the air tomorrow. He'll probably say, I made a great play out there.
Yeah, he might be able to do his whole sportscast on it in the morning. He was an All-Canadian last year, Glenn Suter. Loss of 3 for the Roughriders, 2nd and 13. Austin from the shotgun, 2 receivers, 3 receivers to the near side. Austin looking for Narcisse. And Tucker was covering, but Austin was off target.
Boy, every time he throws, number 81, Will Johnson, is right in his face or close by. And I honestly believe that's what's thrown Ken Austin off his rhythm here in the first quarter, because he has had receivers open. He just hasn't been able to hit them. That is a scary group to play against. You got Tim Caulfield, who's big as a house at the other end. You got Johnson at one side, both coming at you with a couple of big guys, Warnock and Zizakovic up the middle. That's a tough group.
4:34 to play in the opening quarter. Calgary leading 1-0. Saskatchewan punting. Ozeki had a 52-yarder last time, and he sails another one deep with his breeze. Tucker on the return for Calgary, slowed down and dropped by Rasevich near the 17-yard line. Bob Foley also getting an assist on the tackle. A terrific night for football at Taylor Field, but not much scoring in Saskatchewan. Yes.
Well, there are Elvis fan clubs. There's even a Marilyn Monroe fan club. But they're here, the Bruce Covington fan club. Alias Tuna, he picked up 25 tickets to this football game to bring his buddies. Lou is one of them. Now, Lou, how do you cheer for an offensive lineman?
Well, you know, he's got a lot of heart and soul. You just got to go out there and cheer for him. You know, he's doing a good job his rookie year. He's doing a fantastic job. So what can you do? He's there. He's in. What do you want to say? He's doing the job out there.
And how does a big guy like that get the nickname Tuna, or can we say?
Oh, well, you know, he just likes to eat a lot of fish. You know, he likes to eat a lot of fish. He likes to do a lot of fish. He likes to eat a lot of fish.
All right, thanks, guys. I'll see you later.
There he is, Bruce Covington.
Tuna.
Graduate of Vincent Massey High School. I'm sure that's where some of the friends that came along tonight went to high school along with him. Lewis had a chance. Lance Cook made the tackle on Doug Flutie.
Bruce Covington actually does a very good job blocking on Lance Cook here. Watch, he takes the inside away from Cook. Good position, pretty good footwork. You got to keep those feet moving. Now Cook will get the sack as the Covington feels like the play is over. Flutie is running. I mean, that's not really an offensive lineman's fault. He did a good job there.
Gain is 2 yards, 2nd and 8, Stampeders. Calgary 20-yard line. Flutie for Alan Pitts, and he'll be very close to a first down. Donaldson was covering.
And Donaldson has done a nice job in coverage on Alan Pitts so far in this first quarter. He has been right with him every step of the way. Now, make no mistake, Pitts will catch his share of passes, but Donaldson so far has not allowed him anything deep, which I'm sure is the biggest concern.
3:05 to go in the opening quarter. It will be a Calgary first down. Just shy of the Stampeder 30. Four receivers to the near side. Flutie pitching out on the option to Keevan Jenkins. Suter wrestled him down, but Jenkins will have a first down. 12-yard gain.
What a great play on Tyrone Jones. He has no choice here. If he goes and tackles Flutie, he pitches, as he did if he went to Jenkins. Flutie runs, and Tyrone Jones can do nothing right on that play except chase Keevan Jenkins.
5th first down of the night for the Stampeders. The Roughriders have just 2. Calgary leading 1-0. Flutie near side. Keevan Jenkins takes it out of the backfield. Another first down. Jenkins finally wrestled down inside the Saskatchewan 45. 27 yards. Benson Donaldson finally got to stop the Stampeder running back.
Well, Keevan Jenkins killed the Saskatchewan Roughriders the last time they played, and one of the reasons was out of the backfield. He just snuck outside there. Flutie found him, and he picks up a lot of yardage on that play. 27 to be exact.
From the 43, Flutie has a first down. Jenkins was the intended receiver. Rasevich was covering, and Flutie hurried the throw a little bit. Dan Rasevich. playing a little bit better in the middle, more suited to that spot than he was where he started as a linebacker this season?
I'm not so sure. The blitzing package will be a little different for him coming from the middle, but one thing, he had to try and chase Keevan Jenkins out of the backfield there, and he wasn't close.
Flutie rolling to his right, far side, another strike. Sean Beals made the catch in front of Carl Anthony. 11 yards.
The Calgary receiving core worked so hard. There's Sean Beals, 88, right in the middle of your screen. Now watch how he takes Charles Anthony straight up the field and then breaks it to the outside. And that is good disciplined pass pattern because he doesn't allow himself to drift to the outside. He drives that back up the field and then makes a good sharp break. And every single receiver on the Stampeders is able to run those crisp patterns.
Stampeder drive continues. 1st and 10, Saskatchewan 31. Flutie all kinds of time. Now the rush comes and Flutie is down. Gary Lewis decking Doug Flutie and forcing him back across the 45. Substantial loss, 14 yards.
And that was a coverage sack because initially Flutie had plenty of time to throw the football, but the Saskatchewan secondary coming up with a much better game tonight, had all the receivers covered. There you see Flutie. He wants to let it go. Nobody's open. Finally now Gary Lewis comes open and gets the sack, but in Calgary's favor, I mean, that's only the 6th sack they have given up now in 5 games. At this point last year, they had about 17, so that offensive line is much improved over last season.
2nd sack of the season for Gary Lewis, and the 12th of the year for the Roughriders, who lead in sacks with 11 after 4 weeks. 2nd and 24. What can Flutie do here? Looking deep. Carl Bland, it's a jump ball. Benson Donaldson got his hands on the football. And that was almost a Hail Mary, wasn't it?
Well, I think Doug Flutie has such confidence in all his receivers that he's willing to take a chance by throwing a ball up there that maybe shouldn't have been thrown. But boy, you hear the ovation from the crowd in Saskatchewan. They haven't been able to cheer for a lot of great defensive plays so far this year, but here in the first quarter they have come up with some big plays, and Benson Donaldson has had himself an excellent first quarter.
Willis Jaycox returning Calgary's 3rd down punts. Out near the 22. Darrell Hall leading the Stampeder tacklers on Willis Jaycox. That'll be it for quarter number 1 at Taylor Field in Regina, where the Stampeders have a 1-point lead. Getting ready for the 2nd quarter in our CFL game of the week with the Stampeders in front of Saskatchewan 1-0. Kent Austin tries to get the Roughriders rolling. 1st and 10 at the 23. Fairholm makes the catch. Short of the 1st down. Matt Finley the tackle for Calgary. Numbers from the opening quarter certainly favor the Calgary Stampeders in total yards and net yardage, as well as time of possession. But the Roughriders are only down by a point. 2nd and 2. Saskatchewan at the 31. Lucius Floyd. I'm not sure he made 2 yards.
Waiting on Stack. Last one up was 95. Well,
Jake Ireland requests some measurements. It'll be 3rd down.
Not quite. It's short.
So what does Don Matthews do here?
3rd and 1.
Well, he goes for it. He's left him in there.
What's the call? Milson Jones, Kent Austin straight ahead. 3rd and 1. Austin keeps himself.
Well,
this is going to depend on where they spot it, because he really didn't get a great surge ahead, and see how they sort this one out. But this is not a given, and Calgary thinks that they have stopped him.
Come on, ref!
Well, let's see how close it is.
Oh, my.
Any portion of the football.
I think he got it.
Not by much, but it will be a Rough Rider first down.
Goes in the books as just another old first down.
But there were a few anxious moments.
Boy, were there ever. Let's go back and look at the surge. He tries to follow right behind the center, Mike Anderson. But the Calgary front four got excellent penetration, and that was pretty scary for a second.
Riders first down from the 33. Austin, good fake for Floyd, throwing on the run for Milson Jones. Jones away from a couple of Stampeder tacklers. He made a good effort to get away from a couple, including number 96, Sreko Zizakovic. 7 yards for Milson Jones.
Well, this is a screen to Milson Jones, so he's blocking Johnson. Then he lets him go upfield, and they want to throw over top of it. It looks as though Johnson maybe gets some great pressure, but that is a design play where they will allow him to get to the quarterback and then throw the screen, and they actually picked up about 8 yards, so it worked perfectly. They tricked old Will there.
2nd and 3. Austin with time, looking deep for Fairholm, and he just missed.
Jeff Fairholm downfield.
Carl Anthony, number 19, covering on Jeff Fairholm.
Well,
Fairholm
about five or six times a game you get an opportunity to throw the home run when the middle safety has vacated that area. This is one of those occasions, and Ken Austin would love to have that one back again. But in all fairness, Carl Anthony was in such good position to the outside hip that had the ball been underthrown a little bit, he might have been able to make a play. Would have been a spectacular catch.
Mike Lozecki is having a great night. Now he'll kick into the breeze. Harold Tucker at the Stampeder 35, and that draws a flag. Jay Cox slowing down Tucker. Only the second penalty of the game. 12:34 to go till halftime with the Stampeders in front by 1 on our TSN game of the week.
McCain.
The Saskatchewan front four is a much improved group this year with the addition of Gerald Bayless. So who better to talk about it than the fellow who's going to play against them tonight? Doug Flutie. Before the game, he talked about them.
Their front four and their whole defense in general, they like to pressure the quarterback and stunt, and they've done an excellent job of getting some quarterback sacks so far this year. The key for us offensively, move, not necessarily sprint outs, but move the pocket, change pass protections, and keep them off balance.
Boy, I think that's the biggest key, is to move that pocket around. Little sprint, sometimes roll behind the tackle. Just don't let that front four of Saskatchewan, guys like Bobby Jurison, Gary Lewis, just get set in their pass rush lanes that they feel that all they have to do is just come straight upfield. Make them guess where that pocket's going to be. And so far in the first half, Doug Flutie has done a nice job with that. And he is so mobile. You know, he can make an offensive line look pretty good at times.
Last 4 Calgary drives have ended rather unsuccessfully. Punt, a missed field goal for the single point, an interception, and another punt. Let's see what Flutie can do with a 1st and 10 at the Stampeder 47. Whoop. Miscommunication in the backfield. Flutie all alone. He's wrestled down. Lance Cook got to the quarterback that time.
That looked like a Doug Flutie error because everybody went one way and Doug went the other. Hey, it happens to the best. And watch this one. It's a... Now, maybe Keevan Jenkins didn't come underneath like he should have. So we'll have to ask Doug after the game about that one. Nevertheless, a nice break for the Saskatchewan defense. And Lance Cook, he's had some positive things happen in the first half in his first game. He's had a sack, and now he gets another sack behind the line of scrimmage.
From the shotgun on 2nd and 12 after a loss of 2, Flutie. Perfect toss for Dave Sapunjas. His first reception is a big one and wrestled out by Glenn Suter. Big play for the Calgary Stampeders. Flutie comes back after the miscue and gets a big first down.
Yeah, disheartening for a defense to have a 42-yard pickup against you when you have 2nd and 14, but Dave Sapunjas, we talked about him in the opening. He has matured as a wide receiver. Comes underneath. Now that's Kim McLeod, who's in at a linebacking spot. He couldn't stay with Sapunjas on that crossing route, and Calgary loves to do that between their 2 slot backs, Pitts and Sapunjas. crossed them across the field against a team that likes to run a lot of man-to-man coverage, and that is very difficult for a defensive back to stay with him all the way across that field.
A 42-yard gain, setting the Stampeders up 1st and 10, Saskatchewan 21. Flutie looks for the end zone, and Jenkins couldn't hang on. Rasevich covering on Jenkins.
Jenkins in the end zone.
Well, this is the matchup that the Calgary Stampeders killed Saskatchewan in the last time. There's Keevan Jenkins. Now there's Rasevich, the linebacker. Watch, up to the corner, and Keevan Jenkins had it, let it run, had a wonderful opportunity to make that catch, but hey, that is a mismatch. You don't want Keevan Jenkins on the middle linebacker. You see how far behind Rasevich actually is, and Calgary, or Saskatchewan rather, is very fortunate they didn't score.
2nd and 10, Stampeders at the Saskatchewan 21. From the shotgun, Flutie. Sapunjas makes the catch, and a penalty marker down. 21 yards to Dave Sapunjas, but that one is coming back.
Well, Saskatchewan is getting a lot of breaks here in the first half. Potential touchdown to Jenkins was missed. Now a touchdown to Sapunjas will come back as the result of a holding call, and you know, that's good news for Saskatchewan. The bad news is Doug Flutie looks like he's starting to get in a pretty good groove.
It'll now be 2nd and 20. And the Stampeders are pushed back to the Roughrider 31. Flutie rolling to his left. Sapunjas again. McLeod was covering number 29.
That's why he is in the lineup. Dave Sapunjas was the 3rd receiver in, and the 3rd receiver is usually the responsibility of a linebacker. Now Saskatchewan has a better matchup. They have a defensive back playing linebacker, and he can run with a Sapunjas. So the move they have made is paying off here in the first half of this ball game.
Stampeders will settle for a 38-yard field goal attempt. Mark McLaughlin missed from 29 earlier. No mistake about this one as the Stampeders add to the lead. It is now 4-0 Calgary. So the drive stalls. Stampeders settle for a field goal and lead the Roughriders 4-0 second quarter.
Even though they trail 4-0, the Saskatchewan Roughriders may be having their best defensive night of the season. And a big reason for that is Bobby Jurison, who has been in the Calgary backfield most of the night. He just came off the field and told the Calgary defensive coaches, that kid 60 can't block me. That, of course, is Bruce Covington, who's got his fan club here, but apparently Bobby Jurison isn't a member of that club.
Well, we'll watch that matchup as we continue with 10:06 to play until halftime. Stampeders in front by 4. Not many points on the board, but it's been a well-played ball game.
Yeah, it really has, and I think the fact that maybe only a couple of penalties, and penalties are usually 3 penalties, I'm told. That's what slows the game down, so this has been a quick, fast-paced game, fun to watch.
From the shotgun, Austin pumps once and looks deep. Byron K. Williams, the intended receiver, and he was already out of bounds.
You know, Calgary's a frustrating defense to play against, and it's basically because, hey, we're going to rush 4 guys and we're going to drop off 8. So for Kent Austin, he has to pick away, and Calgary simply says, hey, if you can put 8 or 10 plays together and get a field goal or a touchdown, good for you. They're banking on the fact in this league with only 3 downs that you're not going to be able to do that on a consistent basis.
Austin, the leading percentage passer in the CFL, has been good on 5 of 11 for 42 yards so far tonight. Shotgun blitz is on, 2nd and 10, and Elgard makes his first catch. He'll be short of the first down.
Ray Elgard. Tipped up by 30, Kenton Leonard.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders come with the safety blitz. Here comes Greg Peterson, so Elgard sees it. He has to go inside, but Kenton Leonard, let it run. Kenton Leonard does a heck of a job in coverage, and he comes up and puts such a quick hit on Elgard. He keeps him short of that first down, so although we see Calgary not blitzing too often, that time it was very effective, and Saskatchewan has to punt.
3rd and 1. Lezecki back near his 30. Bouncing to Pee Wee Smith for the Stampeders. He reaches the 25, and that's all. Willis Jaycox, solid tackle. 42-yard punts and very little return. Enter Doug Flutie once more. And a chance at 2 touchdowns on the last drive. Holding on the toss to Dave Sapunjas, and Keevan Jenkins couldn't bring in a pass on the goal line.
Well, his completion percentage is not that great tonight, but I really feel like Doug Flutie is getting into the flow of this game in the second quarter, and I think you're going to see some sparks fly from their offense shortly.
Stampeders begin at the Calgary 25, 4-0 Calgary. Somehow the ball got away. Carl Bland was streaking down the sideline. Flutie looked to pump fakely. What happened here? He lost the ball.
Well, he was going to pump fake, but in effect, that was a forward pass. No question about that one. I think he wanted to try and bring it back in, but it just goes as an incompletion.
From the shotgun on 2nd and 10 from the Stampeder 25. Flutie escapes to his right. Alan Pitts. They rule it incomplete. Benson and Suter covering on Alan Pitts. Saskatchewan has done a decent job on Pitts tonight so far.
Well, that's what Flutie's usually so effective on, those scramble plays, but Saskatchewan defense has reacted very well to it tonight.
Martino's first kick with the breeze, and it has died down a little bit. They got through. Cook got through. Lance Cook got through to the quarterback once and to the punter once now. Big turnover favors Saskatchewan.
The key is Bayless up the middle. Watch that. He takes 2 guys, that leaves Lance Cook free, and there's no chance for Martino. Lance Cook gets the block, but it's Gerald Bayless who takes 2 people with him, and then Cook comes free for the block, and a big break and a nice turnover for the Roughriders. And, you know, they played well enough in the first half. They have to take advantage of one of these breaks now.
His first game for the Roughriders has been a good one so far. 1st and 10, Saskatchewan now. Calgary 14. Touchdown, Saskatchewan. Don Narcisse, 14 yards. Riders in the lead.
Been in every game that they have lost this year, and now they're looking like a much better football team tonight. They take advantage of the punt block. Narcisse with a underneath pattern, that the catch, the linebacker Alondra Johnson couldn't get to him. Didn't take long for Austin to get it in the end zone. That's what you want to do.
A rather short drive after the turnover as the Roughriders jump in front. Ken Austin to Don Narcisse. A 14-yard score. Saskatchewan in front of the Calgary Stampeders. 7-4 at Taylor Field, Regina.
Oh, the key to this is Gerald Bayless just to the left of the center. Watch. He takes 2 personal protectors with him. Lance Cook comes free. That is pretty. You work hard in practice, and when it comes off in a game, what a feeling of jubilation that is. There's Lance Cook. He's happy, man. Hey, they take advantage of it right away. Don Narcisse up here. There he is. Now watch. We're going to clear out. We're going to clear out. He comes underneath. Here's Alondra Johnson from the middle. He's trying to get over. He doesn't make it in time. You got yourself a touchdown. Watch Johnson come from the middle now. Whoa, there he comes. Just a little too late. 7 points. You take advantage of the turnover. Everybody on the Saskatchewan side is happy, and especially Don Narcisse.
Prairie University, hi Mom, everybody in Houston, Texas. I'm here. You happy? The Sweat University.
Second touchdown of the year for Don Narcisse. It gives the Roughriders the lead as we ready for the Saskatchewan kickoff. 7-4. Riders leading the Stampeders. This is Keevan Jenkins. Jay Cox in on the tackle once more. 22-yard return. And that sets Doug Flutie up with decent field position beginning at the Calgary 39.
Stopped by Will Jay Cox.
I got 17 here. No, I'm talking about 98 came inside me. I stepped down, took 98. No, but you better protect me. It came off my butt.
Still talking about the block. Keevan Jenkins caught in the backfield.
Darrell Bayless, quick penetration. My, oh my. You know, we've blown a lot of smoke for the Calgary front four, but the Saskatchewan front four not taking a backseat to anybody tonight. A delay with a counter. You got the right tackle, Ken Moore, pulling across, and Gerald Bales sneaks in behind it and just absolutely hammers Keevan Jenkins in the backfield. Hey, this is an inspired team out there in the green.
The loss is 2. It's 2nd and 12 Calgary. Flutie can't find a receiver. Now pitch comes loose, and he couldn't one-hand it.
You know, Saskatchewan is a little lucky tonight as well because Pitts came open late, and had he made that catch, there was a lot of open room for him. But Doug Flutie has plenty of time to throw. Ken Moore working on his old pal Bobby Jurison. Jurison can't get near Flutie, but boy, this is great coverage downfield by the Roughrider secondary. Flutie has nobody to pick out.
Yeah, Flutie has been 0 for his last 5 tries. Martino gets this one away, not by all that much. And Jay Cox begins the return for the Roughriders. Not all that much down there.
Hey, you know what I like, John? They came with the exact same punt block again, and they said, hey, if it worked once, it can work again. And they got pretty close to Martino.
Good job, Joe.
He's having a pretty good night. Bobby Jurison, number 1 after week 4 in sacks in the CFL. 6.
Good job, man.
Oh, watch this exact same move again. This time, Bayless almost breaks through, and they did a better job of spreading out, though, and picking everybody up that time.
6:18 till halftime as Austin throws on first down. Nelson Jones hot from behind. There is a penalty marker down. Back in the Stampeders secondary.
That's a good-looking play on first down for Saskatchewan. Swing it out to your back, Nelson Jones, and before the first Stampeder touched him, he had about 8 yards.
Yeah, I know it, yeah. And that's mine. That's mine.
Illegal contact called against the Stampeders. Downfield. So the first down will stand. Another penalty and offside against Calgary as Floyd carried Tim Caulfield. Looked to be the early mover. Moving early, I should say.
Marker on the field.
Well, they do have the good bookends there, Caulfield and Johnson at the ends. You know, going back to that catch by Milson Jones out of the backfield, we talked about Calgary. They will allow that. They give up over 61% in their secondary. That means quarterbacks complete over 61% against that secondary. But the good side for Calgary is they only give up about 7 yards of reception, which is best in the league. So it says, hey, we'll let you complete a lot, but not for very big yardage.
On 1st and 5, Milson Jones. And he's out for another Saskatchewan first down. Warren Jones and Fred McNair are the backup quarterbacks. McNair getting his first opportunity to dress for the Roughriders. He's listed as the third string, nicknamed Air McNair. And here's Air Austin near side, Byron Williams. Close to a first down. Junior Thurman covering.
I think that is the longest completion for a 10-yard out I've ever seen in my life.
How far did he throw it?
I think he threw that about 40 yards all the way across field. I mean, this thing had some airtime on it. I mean, does that not look like the long bomb and you're throwing it out for 10 yards?
Yeah, the lines are going the wrong way on the field when you look at the replay. Just short of the first down. Austin escapes and will have the first down inside the Stampeder 35. 5-yard gain, enough for the first down. 4:51 till the half. Saskatchewan in front, 7-4.
Well, on second and short, they wanted to hit the big play with bringing 3 receivers out of the backfield, but it was shut down quickly, and Austin, which he doesn't do very often, took off with it. As soon as he had that first down, though, he went down and protect that football.
Numbers on Austin are improving. 9 of 15, 85 yards, and the touchdown so far. First down from the 35 of Calgary. Austin, Fairholm, inside the 15. Good move by Fairholm as he went over the top of Kenton Leonard to make a 21-yard catch.
What a great effort by Fairholm. He's running what they call the wheel pattern. Now here's Byron Williams. He goes to the post. That means on Leonard, it's the out and up down the sidelines. There, let it go. Watch the adjustment at the end of this play, though. Fairholm comes back over the top of Leonard. That's a spectacular catch. And, you know, that's what Don Matthews said. We have lost games because we haven't made big plays. That's a big play.
Roughriders back at the Calgary 14, first down. Lucius Floyd, and he's halfway to a first down, maybe a little more. Roughriders have been running with a little authority at times tonight.
Well, they have to mix it in every so often just to try and keep the defense honest. You can get 7 yards on the ground on a first down play. Your running game's getting good production for you.
Here's an interesting note. After 4 games, Stampeders have yet to give up a touchdown.
I was just thinking about that one.
Rushing. 2nd and 2. Touchdown to Lucius Floyd. Right in the corner, Lucius Floyd. A backflip to celebrate. 2nd touchdown of the season by Lucius Floyd. Both have been from Kent Austin.
So an offense that's been criticized for being a little sluggish has come to life here in the first half at Taylor Field. Back-to-back touchdowns now. Lucius Floyd with the catch. Matt Finley can't quite get out there quick enough, and Lucius Floyd his 2nd touchdown through the air, and Kent Austin is in a nice rhythm here in the 2nd quarter.
3-minute warning is up at Taylor Field in Regina. And this place is a little happier now. The Roughriders have scored 2 touchdowns in a row and lead the Stampeders 14-4. Lucius Floyd has his 2nd receiving touchdown of the season.
That was a pretty play, too. Here's Lucius Floyd here. Fairholm runs off. Williams runs off. Now, it's a play action to Jones here. Floyd out in the flat. That is a lot of pressure on an outside linebacker, Matt Finley. Watch, it freezes Finley just the slightest with the play action to Milson Jones, and with that freezing of Finley, he is dead in the water. Nice catch past to Floyd. Touchdown.
And just in as the Roughriders move out in front. 14-4.
Boy, as a receiver, I used to love play action on the goal line because you just seem to get a little step on everybody, whether it's a defensive back or a linebacker. That play action just seems to disrupt the coverage enough.
Well, interesting that the Saskatchewan offense has burst to life here in the 2nd half. Wally Buono's defense generally plays it passively. We know that. Saskatchewan made a conscious decision to go right after him late in this quarter, and it's worked.
Now Keevan Jenkins with the return for the Stampeders. Jacobs. Again on the tackle. The ball came loose, but they ruled It was dead, a 21-yard return. Jay Cox has been doing a good job for the Roughriders on special teams tackles tonight. Doug Flutie had a couple of chances to hit the end zone.
That holding call really is looming large here in the first half. It would have been a much different ball game had Sapunges' touchdown counted. Now for Flutie, they trail by 10. He has to try and generate something.
And Flutie begins at the Stampeder 35. 3 receivers to the near side. Flutie is hit as he throws. It is ruled as an incomplete pass. Gary Lewis tipping the ball. And Bayless got through to Doug Flutie.
Well, that guy looks like he could play. He should be out there.
Nice outfit.
Yeah. You know, when Saskatchewan signed Gerald Bayless this year, they said this is the perfect complement to Gary Lewis. We need 2 big horses that can come up and push that pocket up the middle. We know we've got good ends rushing, Bobby Jurison and Lance Cook, but we needed that push up the middle, and they're getting it tonight.
Flutie from the shotgun, 2nd and 10. Far side, and that should be a first down to Alan Pitts. It is. Pitts in front of Tyrone Jones.
It's first down.
As Benson Donaldson was also in the vicinity. He's been spending a lot of time with Alan Pitts tonight.
First and 10 Stampeders from the 46-yard line.
Great night for football here in Regina. Beautiful day here, and I suspect about 80 degrees Fahrenheit at game time. Just a lovely night to play football. It's been a great game. Only 14-4, but very interesting.
First down, Flutie. Complete far side, and Carl Bland turns it into a first down. Stopped by Dan Rasevich. It looked like the Roughriders had him surrounded, but Bland turns it into a 14-yard gain. At halftime, the Entertainers. A couple of duets tonight. Krupe and Johnstone. Of the Eskimos, Brigantson Mathis of the BC Lions.
Duo night.
Duo night. First and 10. Stampeders from the 51. Flutie, near side. Crawford makes the catch. Crawford turns it into a first down. George Wynn, number 22, is covering on Crawford. And Crawford gets 12.
And Saskatchewan has decided to soften their defense up a little bit. Back-to-back plays, they have decided to stay in zone coverage, and Doug Flutie recognizes that quickly, and he throws short to his receivers, and they've been picking up good yardage that way. So Flutie, he can get you both ways. You want to play man, he'll do it to you. Zone, he'll throw underneath it.
Flutie has the Stampeders first and 10, 39, flags down. And it looks like offside against Saskatchewan. Ty Jones might have moved a little early.
Tyrone thought he had timed it perfectly on the snap count, moving into that 1-yard restraining zone, and he got there a little too early, and so Calgary Stampeders obviously accept.
First and 5 as Flutie has engineered a rather impressive drive. Riders have scored 2 touchdowns in succession. Flutie tries to counter at least one right now. First and 5, Stampeders, Saskatchewan 34. Flutie looks for Crawford. And Wynn was covering.
83 is pushing. 83.
George Wynn had a rough night last week in Hamilton against Earl Winfield, and same kind of pass play that Winfield had success, just over the top and try and let Crawford adjust to the football. That was still pretty good coverage by George Wynn.
Flutie got on 11 of 25, 203 yards, 1 interception. Facing 2nd and 5 now with 4 receivers to the far side. Pressure comes from Jurison, and Flutie underthrows the intended receiver, Dave Sapunges. Or rather, Carl Bland, number 85.
You know, everybody talks about sacks. You know, how many sacks does this guy have or that guy have? But pressure is what every team wants. If you don't get the sack, at least you get the pressure. Bobby Jurison didn't touch Flutie, but he was almost in his face as Flutie let the ball go, and the pass was short. And boy, coaches will say, give me pressure. That's all I want.
Mark McLaughlin from 41. He has accounted for all the Stampeders scoring so far tonight. He has made one and missed one and missed another one. So Mark McLaughlin has missed twice, and the Stampeder total is 5. Well, a little frustration showing at the Stampeder bench. Minute 39 till halftime, and the Roughriders and a pretty successful Calgary drive out near the 35. 1st and 10, Saskatchewan now. Austin has had a hot hand. Last couple of times he's had the ball. Wilson Jones made the screen, caught the screen pass, ran into Matt Finley and lost a couple. Along the Roughriders offensive line, right tackle Vic Stevenson earned his first All-Star selection in 1991 after 10 CFL seasons. Number 62 was Saskatchewan's top offensive lineman last year. Ending an 8-year reign by Roger Aldag, who had that honor. Fairholm, another circus catch. Errol Tucker was with him.
Yeah, Fairholm with the ball.
But he's well short of the first down.
Well, Calgary, who's usually passive, decides to be aggressive. Here comes Kenton Leonard on the safety blitz now.
Give him 5. It's
Let
3rd
it
and
run.
10.
That means that they have to get the ball off quickly. Austin knows that, and he hits Fairholm, although but he didn't. Fairholm just didn't have enough time to get downfield and pick up that first down. But Calgary, every once in a while they'll come with that safety blitz just to try and keep a quarterback honest.
It'll be 3rd and 10 for the Roughriders. Stampeders have called a timeout to look over the situation. Minute 14 to the half. Saskatchewan leading 14 to 5.
September the 5. Back in, it's 3rd and 10.
They're going for the punt block here, no question about it.
Ozeki got it away. Errol Tucker on the return. Reversing his field. And losing. Boyko leading the Rough Rider tacklers. He was 3rd in special teams tackles in the West in 1991 with 27. Bruce Boyko.
What a terrible play by Errol Tucker, though. I mean, you're rushing 11 guys. You know you're going to get no help on the return. Like a little minute, over a minute remaining. Get the ball down, kill the clock so your offense. I mean, he lost about 4 or 5 yards. I don't know what he was thinking.
1:03 to the half. Rough Riders with 2 touchdowns in a row. Stampeders have managed 5 points from Mark McLaughlin. And we'll see what Flutie can engineer here. Into the final minute of the opening half. Stampeders beginning at their 31. Screen to Keevan Jenkins. He slipped.
Jenkins.
Albert Brown pinned Jenkins after a gain of 6 yards. 55 to go to the half. Flutie kept himself.
That's a play that
quarterback drawn.
Yeah, he just decides to do that on his own. I think he just makes a quick call at the line of scrimmage. If he's that middle vacated, he'll just take the snap from center and take off with it.
First and 10. Stampeders from the 42. Flutie steps up and fires. Sapunjas made the catch. Suter made him pay for it with a pretty good hit.
That was a good hit, and that's what you want from your middle safety. When you come into that middle, you want the receiver to know that he is going to take a whack when he catches that football. And Glenn Suter, who's been on the weights in the offseason, he's put on about 10 pounds and much stronger in the upper body. He really unloaded on Dave Sapunjas.
Into the final 34 seconds of the opening half.
You see Sapunjas there in the middle of your screen. He's still trying to shake that one off.
Stampeders just across midfield with a first down. Flutie got some pressure. Got rid of it to Carl Bland, and Bland with good speed. Those Stampeders just a little closer to field goal range. 22 seconds till the half. 20 yards for Carl Bland.
And this is textbook hurry-up offense. Flutie does not let any time go off the clock when the whistle is whistled in.
Some pressure from Tyrone Jones, and Flutie intended that for Alan Pitts. No go. 15 seconds now till halftime.
Oh, 2, maybe 3 plays for Wally Buono's offense, and I suspect you'll see Flutie maybe take 1 shot at the end zone. Then, of course, if that fails, Mark McLaughlin will then come in for the field goal attempt. Don Matthews' secondary better realize that and maybe play a little softer.
Roughriders dodged a couple of bullets earlier when the Stampeders threatened to score the touchdown. So far, Calgary has not made it to the end zone. Sapunjas makes the catch. It'll be a first down, and he's out of bounds with 7 seconds left. Albert Brown forcing Sapunjas out after a 15-yard gain.
Well, with 7, I guess they will maybe get 2 more plays, and now they will take a shot at the end zone, I suspect. Hurry!
7 seconds till halftime. 1st and 10, Stampeders at the Saskatchewan 19.
I think this is a huge play, confidence-wise, for the Saskatchewan defense.
Good point. Flutie is caught and dragged down. Rasevich, number 74, came charging through to nail Doug Flutie. And you said it was a confidence builder.
Well, it really was. You know, they played a pretty good first half, but to have Calgary score might have been a little deflating. Here is Rasevich, and here he comes right up the pike, and the only person that's going to pick him up is the quarterback, Doug Flutie. Here he comes. Look at the opening. There it is, and that is a real boost for a defense that's played pretty darn hard in the first half.
A 37-yard field goal try for Mark McLaughlin, and he's good on that one. And that should be the final play of the opening half. Mark McLaughlin counting for all the Stampeders scoring. Saskatchewan Roughriders come up with a couple of touchdowns. And the Roughriders lead the unbeaten Stampeders 14-8 at the half.
Hey, we're back again, and I'm your host, DK Smith. Welcome to another edition of The Entertainers. We have a really great show in line for you this week. We hope you missed us last week, because we sure did miss you. We have a couple Eskimos against a few Lions, the battle of the duets. We're going to change things around for you, okay? But first, I want to congratulate you, Stephen Jones. You did a really great job last week, buddy. A really great job. Luther Vandross, watch out. So we have a wonderful show ahead of you. Wonderful show, wonderful. But first, we got to let you know about the rules once again, okay? And here we go. There will be 2 entries. Each entry will have 30 seconds to a minute to showcase their talents, while you, the fans, will have the opportunity to decide the winner by phoning in your votes. We will donate $100 to the winner's favorite charity. Okay, and now on with our show. First, we have a couple of BC Lions, O.J. Brigance and Mark Mathis, with their rendition of Kathy and Regis. We're going to leave it up to you to figure out who's Kathy and who's Regis, okay? In just his 2nd season, BC Lions' O.J. Brigance has already established himself as one of the league's top linebackers. Brigance's teammate, Mark Mathis, came to the Lions from the Edmonton Eskimos. He's a defensive back and punt returner. Okay, guys, do your thing.
Here's the star of the show, O.J. Brigance.
Ladies and gentlemen, as my intro said, I'm O.J. Brigance, and we're live from Malone Sports Bar, home of the Mo Better Oysters. And in the house here tonight, I have my main man, Mark Mathis, M&M. Mark Mathis, come on in here and meet the people. How you doing tonight? And y'all wonder why I brought Mark Mathers. I brought Mark Mathers with me. Why? Because we boys. So tonight, who we have with us? We have the Lions' new starting quarterback, Tony Kimbrough.
TK, we back in the house, and I got a question for you myself. How does it feel sometimes being a backup quarterback? Elaborate on that for us a little bit.
So back in the corner to the pretty lady here. She has a question for TK. TK, what brought you to British Columbia, she said.
Okay, guys, that was pretty good. I still don't know who was Kathy and who was Regis. Do you? That's okay. Great job anyway, guys. Now we have a couple Eskimos, Chris Johnstone and Steve Krupe, with their impersonation of the Blues Brothers or whoever they want to be, okay? Backup offensive lineman Steve Krupe, a graduate of the University of Western Ontario, is in his second year with the Eskimos. 7-year veteran Chris Johnstone is a backup running back. He's a key member of the Eskimos special teams, and as you'll hear, plays a pretty mean bass. Okay, guys, let's hear the blues.
Thanks, Daryl.
Guys, way to go, way to go. We're getting there, we're getting there. Little rhythm and blues, me tapping my feet, things, we surprised. Way to go. Now it's gonna be a tough decision. That's why we need your help in finding a winner.
All right, thanks very much, Daryl. Okay, you want to make the winner? You all just pick up the phone. 1-900-273-0040 for Krupe and Johnstone. 1-900-273-0041 for Brigance and Mathis. It's 50 cents a call. You can pick the winner in the Pepsi Entertainer. Back to Regina right after this. Here's how the scoring went in the first half. Mark McLaughlin with a 38-yard field goal to make it 4-0 in favor of Calgary in the second quarter. But then after a big punt block, Don Narcisse with a 14-yard touchdown catch, 7-4 in favor of Saskatchewan. And added off Lucius Floyd with the 6-yard catch. He just got in, 14-4 in favor of Saskatchewan. McLaughlin added a 37-yard field goal. 14-8 is the score now after 30 minutes of play. Back with more. The second half is up next when we return to Regina.
Welcome back to Taylor Field in Regina. I'm John Wells with Leif Pedersen and Gord Miller. The second half is underway. Rolling out of bounds is the Calgary kickoff. No play for Albert Brown. Will be a procedure call against Mark McLaughlin, who scored all of the Calgary points in the opening half. Riders have a 6-point lead, but I don't think 6 points will stand up tonight. Do you?
I don't think so. I think Doug Flutie will not be pleased with his first half. You see the quarterback comparisons
Calgary
there.
number 13.
I'm sure he will gear it up in the second half, as hopefully the Saskatchewan Roughriders Kent Austin will too, although I thought Austin played a very, very smart first half. No interceptions, couple of touchdown passes, and you know, the biggest thing in this game is not to beat yourself, and in that first half, Kent Austin did exactly that. They played error-free football.
Austin got 2 touchdowns in 4 minutes and 54 seconds of the second quarter. One on the first play after a turnover deep in Calgary territory. And the other, the toss to Lucius Floyd on a pretty good drive. So the kickoff, they try again. And Albert Brown Can't make a play one more time.
Oh, he's pretty lucky too, though. He decided to let that go, and it landed inbounds, and had that ball taken a kick back into the playing field, Albert Brown was in trouble. That ball, of course, is a free ball, live to anyone on that cover team.
Stampeders had 284 yards total offense compared to 142 for Saskatchewan, but a couple of turnovers turned into a problem for Calgary, one in particular leading directly to a Saskatchewan touchdown.
In all fairness to the Saskatchewan Roughrider defense, they played pretty well when they were backed up. See, Donnie Matthews is saying, Albert, you get over there.
Well, now the Riders have two receivers deep, and Brown is on the near side, Jaycox on the far side. Third time for Mark McLaughlin to try the kickoff to get the second half underway. Jaycox has a play on this one. Seam opens to the near side, and Jaycox gets across the 50 with a solid return for Saskatchewan. 33 yards on the return. And Blair Zur made the stop for the Stampeders, but the Riders begin with great field position. Injured Stampeder is Blair Zur, number 36, playing in his second CFL game. Zur was in on that last tackle last week against Toronto. He had 2 special teams tackles in his first game in the CFL. Pat Clayton attending to the injured Stampeder. Maybe we can see what happened.
It'd be tough to tell what happened. He makes the tackle, and it looks as though as Jaycox goes down, Jaycox's knee comes up into the chest area of Blair Zur.
In his second CFL game, a rookie out of San Jose State. Zur heads to the sidelines. Stampeders led in a lot of statistical categories in the opening half.
Well, if that holds true tonight, Saskatchewan's in trouble.
First possession for the Roughriders. Second half, Ken Austin good on 13 of 19. Wilson Jones on the receiving end of that pass. He breaks one tackle, and Jones has a head of steam up, in across the 20, down to the 10, and dragging Carl Anthony for the last 5 or so yards as Jones makes the play almost by himself.
Well, against a good pass rushing front four, the screen pass is always effective. Invite those linemen upfield and then dump the ball over to Milson. Jones gets some good initial blocks, and then it is all on his own, breaking a tackle of Matt Finley, and then he will take Carl Anthony for a ride the last 10 or 12 yards of that run. But what a spectacular way for the Roughriders to open this third quarter.
Wilson is back after 2 weeks on the injury list, and he's into the end zone. Milson Jones, a 6-yard touchdown. That's 60 yards for Milson in 2 plays.
The good news is he'll get a rest. But the first rushing touchdown for a Saskatchewan back this year has been made by Milson Jones. And of course, on the other side of the coin, that's the first time the Calgary Stampeders have given up a touchdown on the ground. So pretty good production. Nice blocking up front. The right guard, Chris Giaskos, does a lovely job on Kent Warnock. Just throws him to the outside and opens a huge hole for big Milson Jones to power through on his way to the touchdown.
No mistake about Ridgway's convert. For Milson Jones, that is touchdown number 30 in his CFL career. He is second on the Roughriders all-time list for rushing touchdowns, right behind George Reed. George Reed has 115 more than Milson Jones, so there's a way to go for Milson to catch up to the great George.
I sure like the call by Kent Austin. It shows that he really has his head into this game and that he understands how he has to attack that Calgary defense. The screen pass, a perfect call against that defense where they like to drop people off and only rush 4 people, and it clicked to perfection, and then Milson Jones banged his way into the end zone. Got a minute here. Let's go back one more time and look at Chris Gioscas, the right guard for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I mean, this is a tall order. He's got Kent Warnock, kicks it open and opens a huge lane for Milson Jones. That was really a good effort.
Penalty markers are down. Pee-wee Smith on the return for Calgary. 13:46 to go, third quarter. As the Roughriders move in front, 21-8.
You know, Don Matthews said the biggest problem with his team in the first 4 games has been the lack of their ability to make the big plays, but they certainly have made the big plays, both offensively and defensively tonight.
Calgary 79. Face mask. Saskatchewan number 17. First down.
Another look at the return.
Well, there's the face mask by Mark Scott.
No doubt about that.
No question.
So it sets the Stampeders up for the first down at their 45, trailing 21-8. Flutie stands in, looking deep for Pitts. And Suter hit Pitts. Brown was covering it. There was almost an opportunity for Brown to pull that one in with a great over-the-shoulder interception.
Well, when you read the zone and the halfback slides to the outside as Donaldson does, now Pitts starts looking quickly for the ball. It's called a seam route, but Doug Flutie, he just didn't read it quickly enough and get him the ball on time. And it was open initially, but Brown was able to react to it.
2nd and 10, Stampeders at the 45. 3 receivers near side. Big pressure on Flutie. He got away from Lewis. Now Lewis picks up the pursuit. Flutie firing for Carl Bland. Oh! He was all alone. It hit Carl Bland in the shoulder pad. Big pressure on Doug Flutie. He got away from him. First from Bayless.
And of course, this is when Flutie is so difficult because buys that extra time, and sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, as Carl Bland had an easy touchdown and he just dropped it. I know the feeling. It's happened.
Happens to them all. Martino for Willis Jaycox. And the return not quite as substantial as the last time for Jaycox. 13 yards after a 47-yard punt. Good one by Martino. And a moment ago, Carl Bland had a great opportunity. It's coming, it's coming.
Oh, you know, and a million things go through your mind. You're saying, I'm open, I've got 6. And you don't catch it. It's an awful feeling.
Oh, no. And oh, yay, from number 77 on the Rough Rider bench, Ray Drinkwalder. 21-8, Saskatchewan leading Calgary.
A couple of notes from the Calgary bench. Andy McVeigh has an injured knee, is out indefinitely, and the adjustment they've made to that big Saskatchewan punt rush, Tony Martino takes 2 steps to punt instead of 3 now.
Well, it seems like a pretty good idea to cure that problem in a hurry. Feel sorry for Andy McVeigh. He's kind of an unsung hero on that offense. You don't hear a lot about him, but he's a very functional part of that offensive core.
Williams makes the catch from Kent Austin in front of Junior Thurman. He's about halfway to a first down. How's this leave? The last, or 3 of the last 4 Saskatchewan drives have ended in touchdowns. It's 21-8. Second and 5. Roughriders at the Saskatchewan 36. Austin with a hot hand of Lates, almost picked off as he looked for Jeff Fairholm. Darrell Hall got in the way, number 7 for the Stampeders.
Lots of time for Kent Austin to throw tonight. His offensive line only given up 3 sacks coming into this game. This is one of the reasons why. Craig Hendrickson at the left tackle spot. That's a great job on Tim Cofield. We haven't heard much from Cofield tonight. Well, that's a good matchup. Craig Hendrickson did himself proud right there on that blocking assignment.
Mike Lozecki got this one away, bouncing down near the 35, and no play for Errol Tucker on the return. A 43-yard punt for Mike Lozecki. And Flutie charges on once more.
You know, I remember back when I played here in Saskatchewan, and we would go up and play in Edmonton, and we were always terrified of Edmonton because no matter how many points you were ahead, you always had the feeling in the back of your mind that Edmonton was a team that could come back and beat you. And boy, I would have to think that Saskatchewan is looking at Calgary in that way. Hey, 21-8, things have gone pretty well for us, but hey, it's a long way from being over with Doug Flutie and that offense.
Yeah, an unbeaten football team. 4 straight wins for the Stampeders. Flutie far side and on target for Sean Beals. Chased out of bounds by Charles Anthony. The gain is 21.
Just teasing the defensive lineman, Bobby Jurison. It looked as though he was going to come up with the sack, and just at the last split second, Doug Flutie let the ball fly. The completion was made. But watch here. Here it comes. There it goes. Well, that gets frustrating for the defensive linemen when they just can't quite get there.
Stampeders now across midfield with a first down. Flutie into the middle for Alan Pitts. And again, Vincent Donaldson with Alan Pitts.
It's the second time tonight that Flutie has thrown the ball behind Alan Pitts. They have been so coordinated in their first 4 games. Tonight they seem to be a little off track with each other.
Flutie good on 16 of 35, 282 yards. 1 interception, no touchdowns thus far. It's 21-8. Saskatchewan leading Calgary. This is 2nd and 10 for the Stampeders, and markers fly everywhere.
Now Saskatchewan saying Rocco Romano moved his hand, and that's what brought Gary Lewis across the line of scrimmage.
Jake Ireland will sort it out with 10:59 to play, 3rd quarter. Stampeders looking for their 5th straight victory. Saskatchewan Roughriders in game number 5 are looking for their 2nd win of the season. And this is a long discussion. There were a few penalty markers down on the field.
Offside, Calgary. Offside, Saskatchewan. Still 2nd down.
Wouldn't somebody have moved first?
Well, if offside must have been a receiver going offside. Okay. If the lineman had moved, there would have been procedure, and that would have been a 5-yard penalty against Calgary. So
right, good point. 2nd and 10, Stampeders, 54, another marker down. Catch is made. Sean Beals lost the ball, and I think Jurison is on top of it for the Roughriders.
Yeah, hold the phone, though. That flag downfield in the secondary, you never know. I might be going against Saskatchewan, so hold the excitement just for a second here, because I think Calgary's going to keep the ball. Beals will cough it up, no question about that. A good hit. Well, it really wasn't even a hit.
No, he lost it before he was hit.
offside. Saskatchewan number 4, decline. Illegal contact on an eligible receiver. Saskatchewan number 22, first down.
So they got Albert Brown and George Wynn. And look where the Stampeders move to now. 1st and 10 at the Saskatchewan 44. Another marker. Flutie unloads for Sapunjas. He can't make the catch. Tight coverage by Kim McLeod.
And that's exactly what he's supposed to do. We talked about it in the first half. He takes the third receiver, and he was right on the hip of Sapunjas. And in fact, I think Sapunjas was the one that jumped offside there. Little head start. He knew the big play was coming towards him, and he wanted to get the head start. Yeah, there. He's the fella that goes offside. But Kim McLeod, he's in at a linebacker spot, covering a pretty speedy receiver. He did a nice job, I thought.
Procedure. Calgary number 25, decline, 2nd down.
The penalty was against Sapunjas. Penalties on the last 3 plays. 2nd and 10, Stampeders. From the 44 of Saskatchewan. Flutie has Crawford open. And that'll be a Calgary first down in front of Charles Anthony.
One of the few times Saskatchewan goes to a zone now. George Wynn backs off now. Charles Anthony, he has to get out underneath that out pattern to Derek Crawford. If he doesn't get out there underneath that, they can pick away at this all day long. But you see, he's concerned with the inside receiver. That's his responsibility, to get out wide underneath the out pattern.
A 24-yard gain sets the Stampeders up at the Rough Rider 22. For Keevan Jenkins, and Flutie was a little short on the toss to Keevan.
Well, watch Dan Rasevich here. This is really interesting. Here's Rasevich. Now he's going to come on a blitz. Now Keevan Jenkins comes out. Rasevich says, oh, that's my guy. I better get out there. Now let it run. The pass wasn't completed, but Rasevich, he was lucky. He said, whoa, wait a minute. There's my guy.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Saved.
Saskatchewan's been lucky a bunch of times tonight. No
a couple of times. Stampeders had a chance at about this area of the football field in the first half. Here's Flutie, surrounded and down. Bayless should get credit. Gary Lewis was there too. So the Stampeders have stalled a couple of times inside the 25. 15-yard loss.
They've had great pressure up the middle from Gary Lewis and Gerald Bayless. Look, he just throws Luke Cafazzo away in hot pursuit of Doug Flutie, and Lance Cook comes into it too because he doesn't allow Flutie to get to the outside. So when Flutie steps back up, who's waiting for him? Hey, right there, Gerald Bayless. Front 4 Saskatchewan, they played a whale of a game.
3rd sack of the game for the Rough Riders. That's a total of 14 on the season. McLaughlin from 44. And he's good this time. So the Calgary Stampeders settle for another field goal for Mark McLaughlin and move within 10 points for Wally Buono. And his Calgary team still down by 10.
Back in Regina with Barry Weiss, the Vice President of Communications for the National Association of Canadian Football Fans. Now, what exactly is that?
It's an organization that's dedicated to the promotion of Canadian football from the grassroots up to the professional levels.
Now, how do you do that?
Well, I guess it's an organization of members across Canada, and even down into the States, matter of fact, that get together to promote the game in any way they can. Now, we have a 1-800 number we talk to members with. It's 1-800-663-FANS. And we get together with fans in a way that we'll be doing it through a magazine come November. So we'll organize it with membership, with a magazine and merchandise, and they get a chance to kind of talk to other people across the nation.
Thanks very much, Barry. Good luck.
Thank you.
Here's Ken Austin on first down for Jeff Fairholm. Stopped from behind by Ken Leonard, but a big first down for the Rough Riders. Currently Saskatchewan in front of Calgary, 21-11, 24 yards for Fairholm. Back in action after missing 2 games with a hamstring problem.
Don't do this, do that, okay? All right, get Gerald to stay on the back side.
First and 10 Roughriders. Just across midfield at the Calgary 52. Milson Jones was the intended receiver. Matt Finley, number 37, with Jones step for step. Jones, 2 big plays in the second half. One a 54-yard carry. And then a 6-yard touchdown run.
And no question that they are better now, obviously, having Fairholm back here and back in tonight, and Milson Jones. They both made big contributions to the success of their offense tonight.
Second and 10. Austin is out of the shotgun. Jones. Met by 2 Stampeders, including Finley. There is a penalty marker down. And Will Johnson might have gotten through to nail Kent Austin. .7:53 to go, third quarter at Taylor Field.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Calgary number 81. First down.
It was Will Johnson on Kent Austin. And the Rider drive will continue.
Nick Stevenson on Tim Cofield, and Stevenson with good position initially. Cofield with some great strength fights through, and the ball is gone. There comes Will Johnson, and hey, I agree with that call. You have to protect the quarterbacks. They're the stars of our league. We have to keep them healthy, and Will was a little late on that hit.
Concern on the sidelines for an injured Rough Rider out there. Looks like Milson Jones was shaken up on the previous play. Does the name Jack Lambert bring back any memories?
Yeah. Linebacker, Pittsburgh.
I was talking about the Canadian Jack Lambert, a World War II fighting ace. Recovering nicely, we hope, from heart surgery back in Ontario. We wish him a speedy recovery and return to action as soon as possible. So do his daughters, including Debbie. So get well soon, Jack Lambert of Canada.
Yeah, the other Jack Lambert.
Did you play with Jack Lambert?
Yes, I did. I played in a shrine game with Jack Lambert. We were teammates.
Oh, I'm glad he was on your team.
I am too. Although he was practice was like the games with him. Practice was no fun with Jack Lambert.
Well, speedy recovery to Jack Lambert back in Ontario. Here's Kent Austin on first and 10. Byron K. Williams makes the catch at the 30, short of the first down. Matt Finley on the tackle again.
That's the same play that Don Narcisse scored on in the first half, and they bring the wide receiver on a delay into the middle, and Alondra Johnson, the middle linebacker, just can't get there in time.
Watch the ball, Matt. Tell me watch the ball. Watch the ball.
I'd say that's a pretty good idea. Watch the ball.
Austin's numbers continue to build. 18 of 26, 206 yards. He's facing 2nd and 4 out of the shotgun here. Oh, Fairholm had a chance. Kenton Leonard had pretty tight coverage. That combination did not miss by much. Fairholm so far 5 for 71.
Now he tries to get underneath Elgard, let him clear, then a little subtle push off, and Kenton Leonard gambled, came underneath, and lucky for him that pass was not completed, but
that would have been a great catch. Dave Ridgway missed one earlier tonight. From 42, this from 37. And no doubt about that one. 6:37 to play, third quarter, as the Rough Riders move out in front of the Stampeders, 24-11. Back at Taylor Field in Regina, the Rough Riders in front of the Stampeders, and our TSN Game of the Week. And following our telecast tonight, stay with us for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Sony. Next week on TSN, we'll present the CFL report from Iverwin Stadium on Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern, followed by football action as the Eskimos and the Tiger Cats get together. Eskimos at 4-1, Tiger Cats, pretty good record too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. Hamilton much improved this year. John Gregory, in his first full season as head coach in Hamilton, has that team sorted out. Edmonton, they are rolling along nicely. Ron Lancaster's got his troops playing pretty well. That should be a great one. Nice to get back to Hamilton, too. All the problems sorted out there.
Yeah, and all your friends will be there to greet you.
Sure.
Jonesy and all the gang.
Yep.
Pee Wee Smith on the return out to the 45. And he ran into his own blockers. 10-yard return. 6:33 to play in the third quarter at Taylor Field. Doug Flutie, 17 of 37, 306 yards, 1 interception. No touchdowns for Flutie tonight, on the ground or in the air.
The yardage has been good, but they just have not made the big plays tonight and had a few called back via penalty, but it's a long way from being over. We're only in the third quarter.
Right on the 45 of the first down, read by Gerald Bayless, who caught Jenkins from behind. Bayless has had a great night.
Well, he's been able to get upfield so quickly, and as the left guard Rocco Romano pulls, Bayless just sneaks in behind him and gets the ball carrier from behind. But it's that quickness which Bayless is noted for. And that first 2 or 3 steps are so explosive. He has created havoc back there.
Bayless is always regarded as a very quick player, but they talk about Lance Cook, who's playing his first game for Saskatchewan tonight, as the speediest member of the Roughriders front four. And is that going to have an effect to help Bayless out there? Cook got through to block the punt with some help from Bayless.
Well, I don't know what kind of an effect, but you know, there are 2 different kinds of speeds. Like Lance Cook is like a fast runner from A to B. Gerald Bayless is a quick 2-3 step explosive style of pass rusher. So really, when we say they're both quick and fast, it's just 2 different kinds of quickness. But the good news is Bayless with the good push up the middle. Cook has that speed to the outside to contain a quarterback or chase him down from behind. It is a pretty nice combination.
Yeah, it is. Bob McDonald, the injured Calgary Stampeder, being helped to the sidelines, number 54. And another milestone tonight for Roger Aldag, number 44 of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who moves into second place in the all-time list for games played, ahead of Fairbanks and Passaglia. 258 games played in 17 short seasons.
There he is. Wonderful guy.
He really is. 2nd and 14 facing the Stampeders. Flutie has time. His receiver went down. Carl Bland slipped near midfield. And number 22, George Wynn, was covering. There is a marker far side of the field, Leaf.
Illegal contact on an eligible receiver. Saskatchewan number 4. Still second down.
Albert Brown caught well away from the play that came to the near side of the field. It'll be 2nd and 4. So the Stampeders get a little new breath of life on this sequence at the 51. Draw to Keevan Jenkins. He got away from one. Jenkins with great speed turns it into a first down and major yardage for the Calgary Stampeders. McLeod got over to make the tackle, number 29. But Keevan Jenkins picks up 28 yards.
You know, and he talked in the paper today about wanting to run the football more. I mean, he wasn't complaining. He just said, geez, I'd like to run it a little more. So on 2nd and long, the draws play seems logical, and Dan Rasevich overruns it. But Keevan Jenkins, boy, he looks like a youngster there with that explosive power and speed as he breaks into the open field. And Calgary, which needs some big plays to get themselves untracked in this game, got a huge one right there.
From the Saskatchewan 32, Flutie on target for Alan Pitts. Caught from behind at the 20 by Vincent Donaldson. That'll be a first down, a 13-yard gain.
Great technique on the hook by Alan Pitts. Watch now as he comes out of his break to the inside. He comes back to the quarterback. Watch that. See the separation he's created is still maintained, and that's a textbook hook pattern by a great receiver. And it's been a funny matchup tonight. I don't think anybody's really ahead.
Well, Donaldson maybe had the early lead. It's a big play for Pitts there. 4:01 to play, third quarter. 1st and 10, Stampeders at the Saskatchewan 20. Flutie turns and fires looking for the end zone. No catch. Pitts was the intended receiver again.
And Benson Donaldson really did have tremendous coverage on Alan Pitts.
Second down.
You know, maybe I will give the nod. Let's have a look. There's Pitts again. Now he's going to end up breaking it back to the outside, but watch how quickly Benson Donaldson explodes to get in front of Pitts and actually be there to break it up. He's had himself a whale of a game.
He really has. You're not going to stop Alan Pitts all night long, no matter who you are out there.
And I mean, that's not exactly a fun assignment to tell a guy like, hey, every play you got Pitts. I mean, you never get a break.
2nd and 10, Stampeders. Roughrider 20, another marker down. Escaping into the end zone is Carl Bland after making the catch.
Well, this is going to be the second touchdown that they've scored that will be called back tonight, I'm sure. Sooner or later, when that pass rush is as furious as the Saskatchewan rush has been, you're going to get some holding calls. And
holding, Calgary number 59. Illegal contact on an eligible receiver, Saskatchewan number 8. Repeat, second down.
With that, Jake.
So Charles Anthony made contact. Rocco Romano went offside. So the Stampeders get to try again. Rocco Romano was holding, I'm sorry. 2nd and 10, Calgary. Saskatchewan 20. Pitts couldn't hang on. That pass was a little underthrown, wasn't it?
It was underthrown because of pressure. I mean, we've talked about that a lot tonight, that, you know, pressure often is as good or even better sometimes than a sack, but simple. You know, Pitts was open. He was waiting for the football, but Flutie had to let it go with the guy in his face once again. I believe it was Gary Lewis. So Saskatchewan defense, you know, they really have been working hard. Once again, a lot of offense created by Calgary, but the maximum that will come from it is 3 points. Flutie very probably will have a 400-yard passing night, but maybe with not a lot of points attached to it.
McLaughlin connects from 27 yards. He has accounted for all of the Stampeders scoring so far. 14 points. Roughriders hang on to a 10-point advantage. 2 touchdowns called back for holding against the Calgary Stampeders. Ken Austin from the 35 on 1st down, Saskatchewan. Near side, Ray Elgard. In front of Ken Leonard, that's only the 2nd reception for Elgard tonight. Coming right at you.
Yeah, Austin really stood tall in the pocket there. You know, he delivered that off his front foot. Lots of zip on the ball. Elgard, good pattern, and they've had a pretty sharp night, this entire group.
Gain is 7, 2nd and 3. Nelson Jones, and he was stopped well short of the 1st down. Darrell Hall was there. Matt Finley around the area as well.
You know, as a head coach, all you really ask from your team is that they play hard on every play, and I think that's you know, not an unreasonable thing to ask from your team, and I think Don Matthews must really feel that his team has been able to do that tonight. The intensity level, and of course we've seen every game, our telecasts, we've done all Saskatchewan games this year, and this is the highest intensity level that I've seen the team play with.
How big a difference has the change of Kim McLeod at linebacker made to the Roughriders tonight?
I think it's made a big change. I think you've seen a couple of times where Kim McLeod has been asked to cover Dave Sapungis, and he's done a good job. In the past, that would have been a James King. It would have been a mismatch, an unfair assignment. But now Kim McLeod has come in and I think done a good job tonight. And I mean, the downside of that can maybe be that the teams can run against you, but that just hasn't been the case tonight. Calgary hasn't hurt Saskatchewan with the run, so on a scale of 1 to 10 for is this a positive move, I'd give it a 10.
Wally Buono has had quick starts in every season. He has been head coach of the Calgary Stampeders. He has not lost a game in July. We're now into August. He's done a great job with the Calgary Stampeders.
Well, he's put together a good coaching staff. You know, guys like Don Southern,
John Huffnagel,
Huffy, you know, the offensive coordinator. I mean, he's surrounded himself with good people. The organization has stability. A lot of positives attached to the Calgary Stampeders.
7th punt of the evening for Mike Lasecki for Saskatchewan. He's been averaging 44.1 yards. A couple of boomers with the wind in the early going. Errol Tucker on the return for Calgary, taking it at the 28. Again, he retreats. Again, he loses big yardage. Jay Cox, again, leading the Saskatchewan tacklers. 39-yard punt. But the Roughriders will net a little more yardage out of that on the basis of the yards lost on the return.
We talked about the pressure on Doug Flutie. This is the last series. Here's Gary Lewis. Watch him. He's kind of like a pinball machine coming up the middle. But, you know, hey, he is right in Doug Flutie's face now. He's not going to touch Flutie or hit him. But Flutie sees him coming. He says, boy, I got to get rid of this thing. And that's before he wants to. That was a pass that was short down pitch. But that's what we're talking about, pressure, that has been constantly in Doug Flutie's face tonight.
Still a minute 31 to go in the third quarter. Flutie is intercepted by Albert Brown. And Brown is forced out of bounds by Keevan Jenkins. Four interceptions in 91 for Albert Brown, his first of 1992. And this one ends up right in his mitts.
Well, I think Derek Crawford caused some of that. He broke off his pattern. He was supposed to go to the post, and he kept going straight, and because Brown had such good position to the inside, and Doug Flutie threw it to where he thought Crawford would be, and Albert Brown was there with the interception, his first.
And a 10-yard return sets Saskatchewan up at the Calgary 25. A minute 18 to go, third quarter. Roughriders lead the Stampeders by 10. It's 24-14 at Taylor Field. And that was the third turnover by Calgary. 2 interceptions and a blocked punt. The blocked punt leading directly to a touchdown. First and 10 Roughriders. Calgary 25. Austin. Elgard. And that'll be another Saskatchewan first down.
Let's go back to the interception. Here's Albert Brown and Crawford. Hey, listen, it's not always the quarterback's fault. Crawford's supposed to go here. He goes straight. Brown comes underneath him, and the interception is created. But, hey, listen, you know, it's not always the quarterback's fault. See, he's supposed to cut it into the middle. He doesn't do it. Flutie gets the interception. So at the end of the year, when they say, oh, he threw a lot of interceptions last year, sometimes it's not always the quarterback's fault.
Ray Elgard, 3 receptions for 25 yards. First and 10, Saskatchewan at the Calgary 13. Good fake. Lucius Floyd, the intended receiver, covered by Matt Finley.
That was the play that Lucius Floyd scored on for his touchdown. Exact same play again. Play action fake. Floyd out into the flat quickly, but the difference is Matt Finley did not bite on the fake to Milson Jones in the backfield. He went right out and was all over Floyd initially, and Austin knew he had to throw the ball away from Floyd to keep it away from Finley. Much better defense.
Second and 10 for Kent Austin and the Roughriders. Austin from the shotgun. Time to find the end zone. Byron Williams was the intended receiver. He wanted a call on Junior Thurman. There is no flag down. Numbers on Austin so far, 20 of 31, 223 yards and a couple of touchdowns. No interceptions. So on third down, Ridgway comes in, and this could be the last play of the third quarter. Chip shot for Ridgway. A 20-yarder. He missed one early from 43 yards out. No doubt about that. The Riders had their lead on Dave Ridgway's field goal. Saskatchewan leading the unbeaten Calgary Stampeders 27-14. Ready for the fourth quarter at Taylor Field in Regina. Stampeders have played well in the fourth quarter so far this season. 30% of the Calgary points have been scored in the fourth quarter. They need 13 to get even with Saskatchewan. Here's Pee Wee Smith. Tripped up by Willis Jaycox, who got a handout to slow down Smith after a 23-yard return.
Andy McVeigh, with that injured knee, will remain on the bench apparently for the rest of the game, which causes another problem for the Stampeders. He's their best blocking back, and they're going to keep a back in, it looks like, for the rest of the game. They need one back there to stop the Saskatchewan pass rush. They can't do it with their offensive line alone.
All right, Gord, the Stampeders 1st and 10, beginning at the 34-yard line. Keevan Jenkins makes the reception and gets the first down as he bowled his way past Anthony and was forced out after a gain of about 12.
They really use Keevan Jenkins effectively in their offensive arsenal, you know. Just when you soften the defense up with Pitts and Crawford and all those other guys, you sneak Keevan out of the backfield, give it to him quickly, let him run with it, and boy, it seems like, well, his average per catch, you know, is around 15 yards a reception, and that is huge for a running back.
From the 45, 1st and 10 for Flutie and the Stampeders. Looked to the option and then carried himself. Jurison brought Flutie down. Looked like he was going to pitch to the outside and then turned it back up. 8 yards for Flutie. Stats after 3 quarters, a little misleading. Stampeders have moved the football, but they haven't scored a touchdown yet. 365 yards total. Turnovers have been costly. On 2nd and 2, Crawford makes the catch as the first down. Stop by Anthony. The gain is 11. That's Charles Anthony.
That's the second time they've used that play tonight. Different side. Just a quick screen. Crawford's got 2 blocking receivers out in front of him, and that play has worked well for them. Well, it's a play you can't get too aggressive against by the defense. You know, you have to be always afraid that they'll fake that little quick screen and throw a bomb to one of those 2 receivers that are blocking.
From the 46, Stampeders first down. Flutie has a man wide open. Crawford down the sidelines. He stepped out near the 12.
Confusion in the Roughriders secondary. That 6-receiver package caused some confusion. Doug Flutie able to pick it up. Bayless, boy, is he working hard. Pressure comes a little late by Gary Lewis. The pass complete, and a big game, big play. Crawford wide open down the sidelines. It's Albert Brown's territory, but he got drawn into the middle. Crawford wide open.
32 yards for Derek Crawford. And that sets the Stampeders up with a first down at the Saskatchewan 14.
Coming out.
Good fake by Flutie, looking to the end zone. Bland makes it for the touchdown.
Oh, what a great catch.
It was a great catch. The signal of the touchdown. A little slow in coming.
This play is designed for only 1 receiver. Alan Pitts blocks up on the short side of the field, and It's totally designed for Carl Bland. It's an out pattern into the end zone, and Doug Flutie throws a perfect strike. See, nobody in his face. He has time to step up and deliver off that front foot. This is a spectacular catch to stay in bounds. Ooh, wow, Calgary's back in this ballgame in a hurry.
27-20 now, Saskatchewan has the lead. And it's now reduced to 6 points. Lots of time remaining at Taylor Field tonight. 12:29 to play in the fourth quarter.
Let's go,
The
man, let's
Roughriders
go.
in front, 27-21. Well, Doug Flutie finally has the Calgary Stampeders into the end zone. They settled for a lot of Mark McLaughlin points in the early going.
Well, a little slight roll to the wide side and then back, and this is strictly, as I mentioned, a one-man pattern. You see Pitts still back in helping to block, and it's all Carl Bland. Look at that. What an effort to stay in bounds. That is just beautiful to watch.
Ready for the kickoff by Mark McLaughlin.
Pretty tight in the Eastern Conference. That was a big win for Toronto. They were really under the gun there, and that was a big win against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers last night.
Ticats kept pace with a win over BC. And the Eskimos, even with Calgary in points, Stampeders are making up their game in hand tonight. Stampeders marching 76 yards in 5 plays to close within 6. And Willis Jaycox ready for the return. A 15-yard return for Jaycox. 14-yard toss to Carl Bland. Possession time 2:31 to get the Stampeders right back into this for a thrilling fourth quarter at Taylor Field. Austin and the Roughriders begin at the 29 with a first down. Narcisse to the near side. Draw to Milson Jones. Penalty marker down. Will Johnson might have moved just a little quickly.
But for a team that doesn't rush the football very well, they've really done a good job in certain situations.
Offside. Calgary number 81. Decline. Second down.
Jones has 22 yards tonight, 8 on this carry. Second and 1. Austin keeps himself. Another Saskatchewan first down, 11:38 to play in the fourth quarter.
I think this is a real critical test for Saskatchewan here. I mean, they lead by 6, but they know that they have the Stampeders breathing down their necks, that they are a good fourth quarter team. And for Kent Austin and the offense, a real test here to see if they can march the football under a pressure situation.
Elgard was the intended receiver at midfield.
Now we're at a stage in this game where both teams desperately trying to take control, and this is a test. A team that's 1-3 at some point during the season, they have to quickly mature, and I think this is the time where Austin has to put together a march and really try and take charge of this game.
Time for Austin to show a little patience.
Well, he's been pretty patient tonight.
He has tonight, yes. Shotgun. Austin. Fairholm makes the catch.
Oh,
that was remarkable.
What a beauty. Has he ever been a key to get him back in the lineup? I mean, you cannot put better touch on the ball than this. Just over the top of Alondra Johnson and the outstretched arms of Jeff Fairholm hauls it in, and as we suggested, this is a test, and so far they are doing very well with it here in the fourth quarter to keep that ball away from the Stampeders.
A 26-yard reception for Jeff Fairholm. Roughriders, 1st and 10 from the 44. Austin has time. And he threw for Lucius Floyd, but right into the hands of Greg Peterson. So after the big catch by Fairholm, an interception, first of the night, tossed by Austin.
Pretty much the same pattern, only this time he's trying to hit Lucius Floyd down the seam, and he just simply overthrows Floyd and right into the hands of Greg Peterson. Actually, I couldn't tell. Actually, it was Elgard was there too. It looked like initially he was trying to get Floyd, but hey, the good news is they marched it downfield, and Calgary has a long way to go. I know they gave up the interception, but
they gave up the interception, but they've driven the Stampeders back to the 20-yard line. So 1st and 10, Calgary. Flutie had some pressure. Penalty marker down in the Saskatchewan secondary. I would think the penalty is against the Roughriders.
Hey, you gonna let us play this game or what?
9:41 to play, fourth
Illegal
quarter.
contact on an eligible receiver. Saskatchewan number 24. First down.
Benson Donaldson. 9th penalty against the Roughriders for 85 yards. Stampeders out to the 32. Crawford to the near side. Sapunjas in motion. Marker is down. Flutie escapes from one. That was Ty Jones. And Flutie dumps it off for Keevan Jenkins. Jenkins made the catch out near the 50. 18 yards will get the penalty call.
Offside. Saskatchewan number 4. Decline.
that's Albert
First
Brown,
down.
the corner. He's just simply lining up offside in his bump and run coverage. That's the second time he's been called on that. There you see it right there. You can't see the perspective, but he is in the neutral zone, and you know that's just mental discipline right there. You have to give the appropriate yardage. So back-to-back penalties hurting the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Saskatchewan leading by 6 at 27-21. First down, Calgary. Flutie escapes and carries himself. He'll have the first down. Flutie has not had a busy night running. Just a couple of carries, that time for 12. And he was running all the way.
And he was running for his life at the end. Watch Tyrone Jones, 35 in your picture. He will come into the picture again, chasing Flutie from behind. Go.
5 carries for Flutie, 24 yards in total.
Let's go, AB. Big
He is the leading rusher on the Calgary Stampeders. 8:43 to go, fourth quarter. First and 10, Calgary. Flutie's receiver, Derek Crawford, fell down all by himself at the 40. Lost his footing.
Boy, so often when a receiver falls down on a quick hitch pattern like that, Calgary very fortunate that ball wasn't intercepted.
Come on, boy, let's go now. Go defense.
Don Matthews, 6 wins, 9 losses as head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Second and 10, Stampeders, big down here. Flutie looks for Pitts. He can't make the catch. Suter moved over. Was helping with the coverage, helping out Benson Donaldson. Suter's been involved tonight.
Yeah, he really has, and he read the play quickly, and he comes a long way from that middle safety spot. Benson Donaldson with pretty good position, but it is Suter coming up over the top that knocks that ball loose. And boy, when the Roughriders desperately needed a big play on defense, They got it from Glenn Suter.
Tony Martino losing the battle with Lezecki so far tonight. Not by much. Martino has outpunted the opposition in 3 of 4 games in 91. There will be no return on this one. .8:01 to play, 4th quarter at Taylor Field, Regina. Don Matthews and the Roughriders hanging on to a 6-point lead. Just over 8 minutes to play at Taylor Field, Regina. Ken Austin has had a pretty good night to get the Roughriders into the lead at 27-21. Final results are in on edition number 4 of the Entertainers, and the Edmonton Eskimos win it. Steve Groupie and Chris Johnstone. 1,340 points compared to O.J. Brigance and Mark Mathis of the BC Lions.
Overwhelming.
Overwhelming.
Yes.
First and 10, Saskatchewan at the 35. The last punt by Martino only traveled 12 yards, so the Riders come up with decent field position. Nelson Jones made the catch and lost yardage. He was met by Alondra Johnson.
I'll give the Calgary Stampeder defense credit too. They've seen this screen play. It hurt them earlier in the second half, but Alondra Johnson said, "Fool me once, but not twice." He was there immediately to put the hit on Milson Jones, and they actually lost a yard on that. There's the line score. Present score 27-21. Late in the 4th quarter.
Austin from the shotgun on 2nd and 11. He doesn't run often, but there's some room this time. He'll come up short. Stopped at the 40. Harold Hasselback. 7 yards, but not enough for a first down. Doug Flutie has moved the Calgary Stampeders. He hasn't made it to the end zone all that often.
Oh, but he has such a flair for the dramatic that with 7 minutes to go, trailing by 6 points. I would say if you ask Flutie right now, he would say, yeah, I like my chances.
Lezecki slightly over his season average tonight. Standing at the Saskatchewan 25. With a slight breeze, another boomer for Lezecki. And good coverage by the Roughriders special teams. A 55-yard punt. Pee-wee Smith had a 5-yard return, and Boyko led the Saskatchewan tacklers. Lots left at Taylor Field, Regina.
Yes, the Saskatchewan Roughriders can pressure the quarterback. Can they cover the receivers? That's the question on the Saskatchewan sideline right now. A little meeting here held a few moments ago. Discuss coverages on the big receivers, and the warning went out. Watch for Alan Pitts when Flutie's in trouble. He's the man he likes to go to. On 3 of 4 plays on the last Calgary drive, they went to Alan Pitts. So the watch is on number 18 for Calgary, guys.
Doug Flutie, 23 of 48, 404 yards, 2 interceptions, and the 1 touchdown toss to Carl Bland to narrow the gap to 6 points, where we stand right now. With 6:47 to play. Stampeders looking for their 5th win of 1992. And they've been in a battle with the Roughriders all night. Talked about the coaching staff of the Stampeders.
Yeah, they have a good one. There's John Hupnagel with the headset on, and he is the offensive coordinator. Of course, quarterback in the league for many years right here in Saskatchewan. He had some good seasons. I would say he's head coaching material down the road, no question about it.
Stampeders begin this drive from their 25. Pressure on Flutie. Keevan Jenkins seemed to be the closest receiver to the ball. CFL veteran James Parker
Yeah,
in
boy,
his first year as a coach.
He has done a great job with this front four. I mean, they are playing some inspired football with it. He has a great enthusiasm and lust for the game, and he's able to get his guys playing the way he played.
But he's forgetting he's a coach now. When you're a coach, you don't turn around and say hi to the camera, right?
That's refreshing, isn't it?
Actually, I think you're right. 2nd and 10. Flutie is out of the shotgun, standing back at his 20. So it should be a first down, but there's a marker down, so hang on a sec. Sean Beals made the catch, number 88. An 11-yard gain.
Offside. Saskatchewan number 79. Decline. First down.
Stampeders got Gary Lewis moving that time.
Hey, Pee Wee's in. 79, 86 is in.
Calgary's gone to the six-pack offense now. Keevan Jenkins out, Pee Wee Smith in, so this is their famous six-pack receiver set.
On first down, Flutie for Pee Wee Smith.
Pee Wee Smith is the designated import. They bring him in for Keevan Jenkins, and quickly you see the effects from it. Pee Wee Smith lined up in the middle. Clear, clear. He just comes underneath. Thanks very much. Pretty easy pass to complete, and Flutie knows he has to get it off quickly. He has no backs in the backfield to pick up any blitzing linebackers, but that is a tough offense to defense. You know, 6 speedy receivers out there.
Short of the first down, Pee Wee Smith.
Demetrius,
yes.
His real name?
I don't know. I think I don't know. What would you really want to be called? Pee Wee or Demetrius? It's not an easy choice, is it? His grandmother named him Pee Wee.
That's right.
Injury on the field to a Saskatchewan Roughrider as it stands right now. Is that Garth Brooks in the background? I think so. Here's Gord Miller on the sideline.
Yeah, that is Garth Brooks, John. And from the Calgary sideline, it's interesting to note that they have put in the six-pack, because moments ago on the sideline they were discussing the pass rush, and they decided that they could not use the six-pack. Now apparently they'll take the gamble on the rush and try to get their 6 receivers out there.
Charles Anthony, the injured Roughrider. Now this is a bit of a tricky situation for Saskatchewan with Anthony coming out. They're not deep in defensive backs.
It's funny, you know, Wally Buono told me yesterday, I said, look, give me your assessment of Saskatchewan's defense. He said, they can beat you by pressuring you, but they can't beat you by covering you. So hence the six-pack.
First and 10 from the 47. They just flipped it back to Pee Wee Smith, and Bayless got through to put pressure on. Fazo coming up with a loose football.
The shovel pass up the middle to Pee Wee Smith, and Gerald Bayless, who's had an outstanding game tonight, is right there at the same time, and Pee Wee Smith really gets crunched.
Calgary number 64, decline, second down.
Well, I think Calgary really is taking a gamble with the six-pack here. I mean, they are giving up protection to try and make the big play, and the way Saskatchewan has rushed the passer tonight, it's a bit of a risk.
Second and 10. Stampeders, Calgary 47. 6 receivers in. Flutie, a deep drop. He finds Crawford, and Brown read it and stopped Crawford well short of the first down. The gain is 5.
And that is really being disciplined in your zone coverage. Albert Brown had the outside area. He just stayed there. He waited till the ball was in the air, and then he reacted to the pass out to Crawford. Sure, Crawford was open initially, but Albert Brown knew the down and situation, yardage to go. He comes up, makes the good tackle, and see his teammates in the background. They know he made a good play.
Brown back now with a third down kick. Willis Jaycox met by Carl Anthony, and the Roughriders are hemmed deep in their own zone inside the 15. A 48-yard punt by Tony Martino that time. First down's an interesting story so far tonight. 16 for Kent Austin, and the Roughriders 29 for Calgary.
Calgary's moved the ball well. They just haven't been able to score any points.
Stamps down by 6. 27-21. 4:29 to go, fourth quarter. Riders begin deep in their zone. Austin looks to throw, steps up, and Elgard makes the catch. Carl Anthony with the stop on Elgard. He went down after an 18-yard gain. That's a big Saskatchewan first down.
Yeah, and it's almost impossible to defend. Once the quarterback breaks the pocket, I mean, the fire drill is on. And you got Elgard and Fairholm, receivers like that. With that extra time, they are smart enough to find the open areas. And if Austin is allowed to roam around there, he's going to have some receivers open.
Saskatchewan out at the 34, and Will Johnson moved early. A couple of times for Johnson tonight. Johnson heads to the sidelines. Harold Hasselback is in, number
Outside.
95.
Calgary, number 81. Still first down.
Here's Will Johnson up here. He's done that a little bit tonight, and he's obviously trying to get a jump on the play, but, you know, in this kind of a situation, that really hurts your team, so he's going to sit out for a couple of plays and think about it.
1st and 5. Riders near their own 40-yard line. Nelson Jones tries to get outside. Alondra Johnson chased him down. Jones got fairly close to the first down. We'll see where they spot the ball.
First down.
It will be a first down. He's had a nice night. Will Milson.
He has made an excellent contribution to this team, and he is in there to take the occasional swing pass and screen, and of course the few times he's called upon to run the football tonight, he has done a good job. Banged through for a big touchdown, and now a lovely run to get a first down and take a little more time off this clock.
Roughriders from the 44. Austin can't find anyone open. He's out near midfield across the 50 to about the 53. Stopped by Will Johnson.
Ken Austin's done a nice job avoiding the pass rush and stepping up through those lanes, and here a lane is created. Will Johnson will run him down from behind, but not before he picks up about 8 yards in what could have been a disaster play. Turns out to be a positive one for Ken Austin, and slowly as time is running out, they're doing a good job to control the ball.
3-minute warning at Taylor Field, Regina. The Roughriders leading the Stampeders 27-21 on our game of the week. .257 to go. Doug Davies looks on as the Calgary Stampeders trail the Saskatchewan Roughriders 27-21. At the other side, Bobby Jurison.
Bobby Jurison saying, I hope I don't have to go back in the game again. He's saying, come on, offense. A little under 3 minutes to go. Just work on that clock a little bit.
Lots can happen yet. Roughriders have moved the ball from inside their 15 up near midfield, and that's been a pretty impressive drive.
You know, for an offense that's taken some criticism the past few weeks, they have performed at a very, very high level tonight.
2nd and 2. Fake to Milson Jones, and Austin carries himself. It'll be a big first down as Austin slides at the 40. Staying in bounds. So the clock will keep rolling. 17 yards for Kent Austin. Major discussion down on the sidelines, as you can hear in the background.
Yeah, but what a great call by Kent Austin. I mean, I don't think there's a person in the park that would have expected him to fake it and run him himself. And now that's where the action starts. A block on Greg Peterson by Ray Elgard, and they felt, of course, that was a bit of a late hit. But what a tremendous call by Kent Austin. And boy, once again, for a team who has not big plays tonight, they have made so many you can't even count them.
2:26 to go, a first down Saskatchewan. This is Milson Jones. Matt Finley made the tackle. Jones stopped short of the first down. 7 yards there.
Now the big thing for Kent Austin and his offense, I mean, they lead by 6 points. There's 2:20 remaining. He is now in Dave Ridgway field goal territory. Field goal, of course, would put them ahead by 9 and force Calgary to score twice.
James Barker,
not
a coach. Different emotion on the other side from the coaching staff.
From a tactical standpoint now, though, Kent Austin has to say, hey, nothing funny here. The worst thing I want to do after this play or after whenever we have to give up the football is to allow my kicker to come in and try and give us a 9-point lead.
2nd and 4, if we get 3, we can go for it.
So what Kent Austin is saying is, hey, I want to run the football. He says, we've got 2 cracks to make 4 yards. So I think that's what you're going to see. Of course, in the back of his mind, he's always thinking field goal, too.
You know, the Roughriders offensively struggling a little bit last couple of games at times. The fact that they have Milson Jones back in the lineup and Jeff Fairholm, pretty important to Kent Austin, too. Both players missed the last couple of games. Jones has had a pretty good night. 6 rushes for 27 yards, 8 receptions for 79.
It's tough to function when you have a different lineup every week.
So he's got all his weapons. This is the #1 Rough Rider offense in the game tonight.
On the other side of the coin, you look at Calgary, a team that's undefeated. This is the 5th straight week that they have not had to make a lineup change either offensively or defensively. So, I mean, that really does tell a story.
2:07 to go. 2nd and 4. And they draw the Stampeders offside here. Jones gets the call and gets a couple. Running into Sreckos is a Kovic.
Well, they didn't get what they wanted on that play. They wanted to get at least 3. Hence, number 36 will come in and try and extend their lead to 9 points, which would be a huge play for them.
Ridgway missed his first try. A minute 56 on the clock. This from 42 yards out. Automatic. A 9-point advantage for the Roughriders thanks to Ridgway. It's 30-21 with a minute 41 to go.
What a great drive by Kent Austin and his offensive teammates to put themselves in a position to kick the field goal. That was really a quality effort by 12 offensive people to put themselves in a position now to win this game.
61 yards and 9 plays.
Yeah, that's 9 plays. That is great.
A minute 41 for Flutie now. Alan Pitts makes the catch. Calgary first down. Gain is 12.
So Flutie won't be rattled. He just says, hey, I got to score twice. Let's get at it.
There is time for the Stampeders. Flutie on first down, near side. Man open is Pitts, and he dropped it that time. Albert Brown was covering. Pitts should have had the football. He should have made the catch.
Well, it's funny, Calgary, who has made all the big plays this year to win their ball games tonight, not getting the big plays at the crucial times. The ball should have been caught by Alan Pitts.
It'll be 2nd and 10. Stampeders at the 46. Big down for Calgary. 1:25 to go. Stamps down by 9. Pressure on Flutie as he throws. Bayless, number 98, was there. The pass was intended for Keevan Jenkins.
I haven't seen Gerald Bayless play this well since he was with the Toronto Argonauts a number of years ago. And he has just had some kind of an evening tonight putting pressure on Doug Flutie.
4 years in Toronto, 1986 to 89 for Gerald Bayless.
Let's not forget he helped create that block punt that really got Saskatchewan off to a positive note early in the game.
Yeah, that was the block punt by Lance Cook. 3rd and 10. Crawford makes, or Sean Beals rather, number 88, makes the catch. 13 yards and 1:16 to go. So Flutie keeps the drive alive.
You know, there's a fine line as a defensive back. How do I cover in this kind of a situation? We've got a 9-point lead. Do I be aggressive and come up and play tighter? Do I play a little softer and allow Calgary to try to work their way down the field, taking time off the clock? And I think that Saskatchewan's kind of caught in the middle of that right now.
Flutie got on 28 of 56 for 442 yards. First down. Flutie will carry himself. He'll have the first down. Lost the ball. Stampeders likely have recovered. Alan Pitts came up with a loose ball, surrounded by Roughriders. Suter was there.
Hurry up, get on the line!
16 yards the game. 1:07 to go. Roughriders leading 30-21. First and 10, Calgary at the Saskatchewan 33. Flutie slips, throwing from his knees. Keevan Jenkins makes the catch. He is inside the 20 and met by Tyrone Jones.
What a play by Doug Flutie. He fell, slipped down to the ground, threw from one knee, hit Keevan Jenkins with the pass, and 51 seconds remaining. Calgary desperately trying to get the touchdown to put themselves in a position to get another possession and obviously try and kick a field goal to win, but they really have their work cut out for them.
They're looking at the clock right now, Leaf, and I think they're going to reset it to 51 from 48, and they have done that.
Hurry up! Hurry up! Come on! Come on!
First and 10, Stampeders at the Saskatchewan 18. Roughriders leading by 9. Flutie looks to the end zone for Alan Pitts. A marker is down. George Wynn, number 22. Little contact downfield as he was covering on Derek Crawford.
Yeah, Flutie was trying to hit Pitts, but George Wynn came up and absolutely clobbered Derek Crawford. That will be the call.
What yard line are on? Come on, Dash! Come on, D! Come on, defense!
Stampeders will get a first down. The official call from Jake Ireland.
Saskatchewan number 22, first down.
Yeah, there it is. As Crawford tries to get off the line of scrimmage, he is clobbered by Wynn, and 10-yard penalty.
First and goal to go. Stampeders at the Saskatchewan 9. Flutie jumps and throws for Keevan Jenkins. Rasevich, a big tackle from behind. Jenkins shaken up.
Yeah, he's hurt. He hurt his knee. That's a play that Saskatchewan has had great difficulty covering. But that time, Dan Rasevich saw it quickly, and he got out there in a hurry to make that tackle on Keevan Jenkins. That's a long way to go for a middle linebacker, but he did a pretty good job. Calgary will take a timeout because Keevan Jenkins could not get out of bounds to stop the clock.
34 seconds unofficially on the clock with the Roughriders in front, 30-21.
Run the option. Okay, RX or R? No, just R. But tell him to use the motion. Okay, use the motion. Tell Keevan if he can't get in the end zone, make sure he gets out of bounds. Okay? If he can stick it up inside there, then just get on the line.
It's great to listen in, isn't it? Sports Desk with Teresa Hergert will follow our football evening in Regina. 34 seconds to go. Second and goal to go. Calgary at the Saskatchewan 4. Stampeders are down by 9.
Well, watch for Keevan Jenkins. I'm not sure if he's going to run it or catch it, but I think he's the fella they're trying to go to here.
And if he can't make it to the end zone, they want him out of bounds.
Too much time. Can you believe it after a timeout to take too much time? I mean, that's a crucial error.
Costs the Stampeders are down. And a second on the clock.
Time foul violation. Calgary number 20. Loss of down. Third down.
Wow, what a huge play that may turn out to be.
Third and goal to go at the Saskatchewan 4. Flutie looking to escape. Gary Lewis, he's all the way back to the 30 and fires this one up for grabs. Intercepted. Ty Jones. Flutie is upset. Obviously so. Ty Jones may take the ball home with him tonight. What do you think?
He may very well do that. The defense of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, I think they deserved this one. No question about it. They made some huge plays. Calgary did not make the big plays tonight, and that, in a nutshell, is the difference in this game. Give Kent Austin and his offense credit, though. They moved the ball effectively when they had to.
It's what Don Matthews was talking about yesterday, making the big plays. The Roughriders have not done so.
That's right.
On very many occasions this season.
Well, he felt like his team was equal to all the other teams that they had played so far. The fact was that they just hadn't made the few key big plays at certain times. But tonight they did. Calgary didn't. And that was the outcome.
13 seconds to go as the Stampeders face their initial loss in 1992. And that'll be the old ball game. Credit to Don Matthews and the Saskatchewan Roughriders for a great effort. The Riders' second win in 5 games in 92. And they really held the lead most of the night.
Well, they're deserving of this win. Good for the Western Conference, I think. You know, Saskatchewan now 2-3. Calgary goes to 4-1, tightens up the West a little bit.
Yeah, that ties the Stampeders with the Eskimos, top spot in the West. Calgary Stampeders have a date with Ottawa next week. The Saskatchewan Roughriders will tangle with the BC Lions in week 6. Number 5, Kent Austin, wins the battle of the top passing quarterbacks in the CFL with Doug Flutie. Don Matthews over Wally Buono, and the final score is 30-21.